All right,
Where are you,
we're
Josh?
good.
There we go.
We're all
It was
good.
like Big Josh. I was
Yeah,
gone.
on my side looks normal, but issues. Anyways, we're back. Welcome to Fast Track Feedback Fridays. It is that time of the week and that time of day.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on making it through the slog, everybody. If it's
It's
a
a tough
slog
one.
or if it's a wonderful journey, then congratulations on that too.
Hmm.
And we are very grateful and happy and excited to
Dude,
have a special guest today, Roland Lim. Yeah, get some drum
rolling.
rolls. Roland is a mixing engineer by trade, and he has an interesting set of skills that we don't always see these days, particularly with live instruments, which I'm sure he would love to talk about. But Roland, you want to take it away and give just a brief intro to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, Chris, Josh, thank you for having me. I really
Mhm.
appreciate it, and happy to be part of your launch for this for this service.
Mhm.
Honestly, I think you guys are doing great work. I've watched all your streams. I'm a fan of yours.
Thank you very much.
Hey, awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm a mixing engineer. Straight out of college, I wanted to do music production and tried to follow my heart and make that happen. And
Mhm.
so over the years, I've been accumulating artists and work and try to make them best music possible. I think you know people are really trying to look for a really professional sound and a professional presentation, and achieving that is hard. It is people underestimate the amount of work that goes into that, and so yeah, mixing engineer based here in Chicago, and trying to make great music, trying to make music that touches people and speaks emotions.
Yeah, and that's totally our mission too at Fast Track is, recognizing that it is really hard to make good music that can cut through the noise of all of the competition because it's so easy to get your music recorded and on the internet, but it's very hard to make really super appealing things that touch people and, have that level of quality that people expect from
Sure,
the mainstream or what they hear.
sure. And
Um,
I
when
mean, I
yeah,
can't.
and when the production doesn't live up to it, becomes a distraction.
yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
let people appreciate and hear what your music is really trying to say. So
Exactly. And as you alluded to, our mission at Fast Track is one, helping people achieve quality music, but also helping to connect folks with professionals like Roland who
Like
can help you
me.
do that. And that's the sort of long term goal of Fast Track that we're working on for our product, which
Uh-oh.
you'll hear about soon.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, for now, we are reviewing your music as we do every week on the stream. We've
Mhm.
got a big queue today of artists, a bunch of you that are return artists. Good to see all of you again.
Mhm.
And yeah, Chris, we want to go through the queue and
Yeah, read them off real quick. All
yeah.
right, so we got the queue. It's about nine, I think 10 people now. Someone else just
Whew,
submitted. So it's a long queue. Excuse me. A lot of you guys are return
might be
viewers. So as you
11.
know, yeah, we might not be able to get through all of you, but with Roland here and you guys, it seems like he's in
He's in
very high
demand.
demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll try to get through as much as possible. So we got Mr. Michikino, we got Ozaka slash Shima, like that name, KBTBU, Drew Landers, Viper, Nate Cassatt, Chess Bro, Lil Rary twice, and then Jokerhead and Castle Finn. So oh yeah, but
Wow.
Lil Rary did two what is it? Two submissions, two separate tracks.
Okay.
So just to let you guys know, typically on average, and like I said, we'll try to speed it up this time, but we definitely want to have Roland's feedback, so we don't want to,
So we probably won't
push
be
him
able to speed
along.
it up, is what we're
Yeah.
saying.
So we'll try, but we typically get through maybe 6 or 7. Would you say that, Josh? Is
Five
like
to
fair?
six, realistically,
Five to
especially with
six.
three people, too.
Right. So if you guys want to, kind of guarantee your spot this week, or just skip the queue, if you guys just give us a tip, I think Josh just pasted the link. I heard that uh,
You heard
in the
correctly,
chat.
sir.
Yeah. There's a tip link. If you guys just tip us any amount, I think the minimum's $1. We get kind of taxed, like pretty heavily at $1. So we say, hey, what about $2? But anyways, whatever you give us, like we're super thankful, and we'll move you guys up because we know that you guys like need the feedback now and you want it from Roland. So that's also if you guys just don't want to wait. So if you guys find yourself like buried in the queue a little bit, you guys can always kind of skip your way to the front of the line. But yeah, in terms of the way that we'll run it, it's pretty much that order unless people start tipping. So yeah, without further ado, I think we could start. Is there any other things we want to say?
I don't think so. Let's get into it.
All right, y'all. And if you're in the chat, say what's up, y'all. There's 6 people apparently. What's up? Happy
What up?
Friday.
Yeah.
But all right. So the first one we'll go to Mr. Mick Chiquino. The title's called Yoinky for now, lol. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it matches the vibe of the song. It's a work in progress. And so the project description says lo-fi with strange transitions I'm trying to work on. Okay, so maybe we'll have to look into the transitions and pay some special attention. But yeah, other than that, do you guys have all the link ready to go? Oh, by the way, Roland, so he'll be listening on a couple different systems, and he might actually be doing that right now. So just to let you know, if he's like doing something else, he's listening to your music. It's just he's doing it his own professional special way.
Yeah,
Me and
sure.
Josh
Here,
like,
I'll
oh
actually
yeah,
I'll provide an explanation for myself too.
yeah, do
Um,
it.
but yeah, I mean, I've noticed that you guys have been monitoring on headphones, and I do think that it's extremely important to provide feedback on monitors
Mhm,
because headphones can be deceiving sometimes. The proximity to the ear and the cup allows everything to sound good.
mhm,
And so, when you play it on monitors or speakers, it gives you perspective of how it performs in the real world and how the
mhm,
music is really translating over the air, which is how people really listen to music and how people perceive music on a day-to-day basis, whether you're at the store, you're in your car, etc. And so, yeah, if you guys don't mind and allow me to, I'm going to be muting my microphone during the playback just so that I can listen on the monitors, and then I'll be providing my feedback after we listen, so that you don't hear an echo on the stream. And then,
mhm.
yeah, so I won't be able to provide live commentary for you all, but if you see me out here dancing, that is good.
Yeah. All
Yes,
right.
and this is a good lesson also in generally like not relying on only one system for mixing or for listening.
Correct.
So Roland might be switching between the NS10s and the JBLs.
Yeah, actually, too, and I guess I'll update the stream on what I'll be monitoring on. So I will be switching between a modern pair of speakers. So I have JBL LSR 8s
Crazy.
here, and then I have the legendary NS10 speakers, which you guys see are ubiquitous in all the big major studios around the world. And then
Mhm.
actually, I also have the matching NS10, the rare NS10 subwoofer as well.
Man.
So
Fancy.
those are the monitors I'll be switching between. And I'll also be putting it on my little Logitech computer speakers as well. So
Mhm.
you get 3 different monitor perspectives from me.
Dude, that's
Absolutely.
awesome.
All
Cool.
right.
Thank you.
I think yeah. So I mean, I'd want to talk more, but we can get into the next track. I do want to ask, like, and maybe Roland, you could think about this. If you were like on a beginner's budget, which first monitor pair you would go to? But before we do that, let's go and listen to the song.
Cool.
Think about your
So
answer for the duration.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to get to the music. All right, Yoinky, you guys ready?
Ready?
All right, Yoinky, Mr. Mick Chiquino. 3, 2, 1. Some background noise here.
Oof. The kick and the guitar sound nice.
Yeah, nice and cozy.
Yo, guys, I'm sorry to interrupt the stream. Actually, I'm not hearing the audio on my end.
Huh.
Uh oh.
So
Yeah.
do you have the Google Drive file?
Let me see. 1 second.
Oh wait, hold on. Did we send it? Or let's see.
Technical difficulties, guys. Sorry, Mr.
If
Michikino.
did it send through? Do you have it?
Now I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, now I got
So
it. Sorry about that, guys. We can start it
It's all
over.
good.
no, yeah, you're
Yeah,
all good.
it's
Yeah.
so it's working. It's all good.
Yeah, I got it now. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, one more time, Mr.
One more
Michikino. You
time.
get some extra airtime. 3, 2, 1.
Like nice non-obtrusive tones, good timbre, smooth.
That guitar sounds great. I like that shaker too.
It's almost like polyrhythm with that little background sound.
Yeah. It's like raining.
Nice filtering, yeah.
I love that little interrupt with the kick. It's like he's scratching, reversing the kick or something.
We're back to the cafe.
Oh, is that it?
Cool. I wanted a little bit more, I'll be honest. I wanted it
Yeah,
to either fade longer or just
Wow.
have more.
that was nice.
Uh-oh.
We got some feedback.
It's all good.
We good rolling?
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
Who wants to
Cool.
go first?
Yeah. So do you watch the stream, right? So you know like the grading structure, I guess, that we have.
Yeah, I need a refresh though. We're gonna let the audience know as well. And actually,
Yep.
I need to, or at least I need to see it on the fast track screen so that I can refer to
Yeah,
it.
so between because we've got three people, we're gonna switch off, so it'll be
Cool.
the one that quadrant will flip between the music
Yep.
screen and this. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. Basically, we
vibes.
try to. Yeah. Do you want it?
Yeah, we just go through each one.
Yep.
I guess for time's sake, it's pretty much for this. We don't really need to worry a lot about it, but we try to go through and be as concise while also providing value. So um, for vibes, I guess it's as you probably know, Roland. Just about like how does the song make us feel? Like what is the output feeling of listening to this music? And sometimes it is a combination of factors. It can be hard to separate from content and production, even within the vibe that you get. But just thinking more about like the overall presentation, like the
Mhm,
sort of the swag to it, if
mhm.
you
Yeah,
will. So this
First
has a lot
impression.
of that. I
it
think this is
does.
really
It
good
does.
on the vibes. It's got a lot of swagger. It's like it's not super locked to like a 4/4 grid. There's a little bit of behind the beat stuff going on, and some of those background sounds almost create like a polyrhythm type thing
Mhm,
with the main parts, which I thought was really stylish.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, it's just kind of like you're sitting in a cafe and you're like doing homework and like the super good song comes on. Uh, so yeah, I think vibes, I would give it pretty much a green. Can't think of much to knock it on that. But what do you guys think?
You go, Roland. The people
Okay.
want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. The vibes are great. I love that cafe noise
Mhm,
that you're talking about, that restaurant noise in the background. I mean, stuff like that. It just reminds me a lot of what like maybe Billie Eilish and Phineas are doing right now, or anybody who's incorporating sounds from the real world into their music, and it just makes you second guess what is that in the background there, and gives you that kind of strange atmospheric vibe too, right?
Hmm.
And I love it. I think the vibes are great. I also give it a green.
Sweet. I will echo the greens. Just paying attention to the chat here. Lil Rary says, "Did you guys get my tip?"
We
Because
did.
if that's the case, you
Yes,
are next.
you will
Appreciate you,
be
Nate.
next.
I love Nate. Shouts out to Nate. He's in HHC. He's a up and coming artist. He's pretty dope. Can't wait to
Let's
hear it.
go. Thank you, Nate.
For me, vibes. Yeah, I think it's pretty much green too. It sounded really solid. Um, really full. I don't think anything was really clashing. Um, yeah, there's a couple tips that I might like try to do differently, but I will do the production sake. But yeah, this is totally lo-fi cafe, um, and rainy day kind of feel. And
Yeah,
maybe I don't know
a
if it's like that in Chicago, but it's like a rainy day here, so it
little
really
bit.
kind of hit home, especially with some of the little like sprinkly background synths, like da 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 da. I think you were saying it was a polyrhythm. I kind of felt like raindrops there, so it was cool. Everything matched up pretty well. Overall, it's a green for me. What do you guys got for content?
Yeah. So content, the one like the thing that I already said about I wish the ending like wasn't so abrupt. Like I wanted a little bit more out of it. Maybe it goes somewhere else. Maybe a few things cut out and there's like a little bit of space, then we come back into the sort of like chorus or hook or whatever you want to call it. That would be nice from a songwriting perspective. And then just like again, like content, that fade even at the end, wherever if it was extended or not, the fade felt like it could have been a little bit more graceful. Felt a
Mm,
little bit quick to me.
mm,
But other than that, I mean, it's fairly simple. I don't know if again, I think it might be nice to have a little bit more like meat on the content side. Like it would be cool if there was maybe a second hook, like a bridge with a second hook, like that would really take it up a notch, I think.
Hmm.
Or just another section, maybe, as long as it's not too repetitive, because that main melody does repeat enough. Although I think it's a pretty good earworm, judging by hearing it in my head right now.
Hmm.
But yeah, I can't think of much else in that department. Obviously, there's no like lyrics to judge here or anything like that. Um,
Yep. No
but I think
strumming bars.
I would give it like a chartreuse, like somewhere between develop and good to go for content.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I like to echo that actually because I guess I want to know the context of uh, what it was made for because I think it's only 2 minutes long, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
And so it seems more of like an instrumental idea. I don't know if it's a work in progress, or if it was just meant for vibes, which is great. I love that kind of thing. I mean, I can
Hmm.
honestly hear it being applied to a little Apple commercial for their next meditation app or something like that, right? I mean, it's great. It gives you that feeling. It takes you somewhere, right? But
Hmm.
yeah, I do agree with you, Josh, that maybe other structural songwriting elements, right, could have been added into it, even as an instrumental to bolster it, right?
yeah.
Hmm.
Do
I
you
did
have like
want to.
a score between, if that's your comments for content? What do you think like between the different ranges? Is it develop or good to go or somewhere in between or redo for
Yeah,
content?
somewhere between developed and good to go for
Okay,
content as well. Because
cool.
once again, I don't know the context or what it is. Could be
Yeah,
could be could
exactly.
be the intro track to an album. In that
Hmm.
case, perfect, right?
True, true.
Could be the outro track to an album, perfect. But in the meantime, though, it doesn't have those structural elements, and maybe it does end too soon, etc. Right? It doesn't give that cathartic, full piece
Hmm.
Sure.
perspective.
I
Yeah,
if I did want to ask, so the description says he was screwing around with some strange transitions. Do you guys have any comments on that?
there we go.
Any
Yeah, I mean,
strange
if
transitions?
transitions within the song itself, or is the song
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a transition?
No, like within the song itself.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I felt that. That might be some of the some of the slipping in and out of those polyrhythms that Josh was talking about. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I
I enjoyed
assume
that.
that's what he's talking about, yeah. And I thought that stuff definitely sounded good. Like if it didn't have that, it wouldn't be as interesting. So
Agreed.
That's true.
it seems like those were executed well.
Yeah, I think it was pretty well executed too. But sometimes like I think that polyrhythm in particular, when the whole beat dropped out, it's a little bit behind the beat, and it felt like it was slowing everything down, and then the beat came back in. Um, I don't know. It made me lose tempo a little bit. It made me lose a little bit of groove. Um, but I think that's one of the things that I might like if I listen to again. That tends to
Yeah.
happen. Like if it's not like obscenely bad, and if it's on that like teetering between, oh, maybe I'll listen to it again. It is kind of interesting. So in terms of the guitars, man, they sounded super clean. That's super nice. The kick was nice and fat. Might be a little too fat. I like the shaker sound, but I have some tips like on production side. I think it was pretty solid. I echo the two comments that were made about the ending, the transition there being kind of weird, very short. We don't know the context, but I think I'm in between as well. Um, Maybe even leaning towards a little bit more green. Like it was just pretty damn good. What do you guys got for production now? You
I
two,
think
the
we should
masters.
let our boy with the three monitor setups
Yep.
start with production. I feel like he's got something good.
Yeah, I mean, well, I want to start off by saying that I think that production should be invisible, right?
Hmm.
If we don't notice the production or if it's not bothering me, right, then it is coinciding with the vibes, right? And
Hmm.
you shouldn't notice it. It should disappear. It should be invisible to the listener. And so in that case, I was in this. I thought it felt great. And in that regard, I almost don't have any production notes. I mean, I thought there was really a lot of great things happening there. If I were to make production commentary, right, it would be about the the way the master of it or the way it plays back
Hmm.
could potentially be swampy in the low end, right?
Hmm.
Especially when you have a sub and I put them on the NS10s. I can imagine even bringing this in the car, for example, and it's not going to have the same punch because it's a little bit lost in the low end there, kind of
Hmm.
swampy. But then again, though, that in and of itself is a vibe. And
Mm,
so maybe you clean up the low end and you make it clearer, and then all of a sudden it's not as lo-fi, right? It's not as vibey.
mm,
So you can take that criticism where you may, but I do think that that is a potential playback issue.
mm,
So that has to do maybe more with the master, also the mix as well, right? But I mean, I do see it as being something that can be fixed in the master.
mm, mm,
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's something I wonder about, like, I wonder if that's fairly common because people may not have a subwoofer that extends super low, and they might
mm.
be just mixing with, like, a shelf on something at the low end, and then they have no idea that there's, like, way too much below a certain frequency.
right. I mean, I think even Chris mentioned that the kick might be too big,
Yep.
Yeah.
and I think those things are fine sometimes. Actually, like I said, that's part of the vibe. I think a lot of the lo-fi vibe does have that kind of swampy low end because you record something to tape, for example, or vinyl, and it doesn't have a defined low end. It's kind of all like fuzzy, right? And
Yeah.
Mm,
so you clean that up, and all of a sudden the vibe is lost. So who knows? And that in this regard, the vibe was there, and so I'm hesitant to even provide that criticism, but it is a consideration to nonetheless look at.
mm.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have like a score on production? I mean, sometimes if you really want to get granular with it, we actually will even do like 10, 20, 30, 50, 80% between yellow and green. If it's like
Mhm.
Yeah,
specific enough, like it's almost green, but not quite.
yeah. I mean, I would go 80% between yellow green. Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely.
Yeah.
mhm.
Well, I'm glad that you said that because I was worried with your spiel about headphones that our listening experience is going to be way worse than yours.
Yeah.
Luckily, I felt pretty much the same.
Mm,
I could see a little bit like I'd say we more often actually get stuff that doesn't have enough like oomph,
mm,
ironically. And this definitely did, so it's nice to hear that. But I could see it being a little bit much. And again, it's hard to tell, like, unless you're on a system that extends all the way down to really know, like, in the car, is it going to sound way more heavy than everything else that you play from, like, your library, right?
Sure,
That could be a concern. But
sure.
I think overall, it's a very smooth mix. Things are placed well. Nothing really, it's fairly transparent in terms of delivering the vibe effectively, which
mhm.
I
Yes.
think we got to. So, yeah, I would give it also probably an 80% between yellow and green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think?
Um, I agree with Roland's tip on the low end there, and I'm glad he heard that too. Yeah, it was a little bit booby on the kick, but again, I think like he said too is kind of subjective. Like, it wasn't to a point where it was like, "Ooh, that's you need to change that right now," or like that does not sound professional. It sounded pretty dang professional, if I do say so
Agreed.
myself.
Agreed.
Some of the stuff, like, and I mentioned the shaker. It was interesting because I felt like the stereo space here, even though like it's supposed to be kind of atmospheric, you have like the coffee shop background and stuff. All the instruments sounded very like right down the middle, which was kind of interesting. Like even with something like a shaker that it was kind of quiet, it was in the middle, like also where the snare was and the kick was. It's like I would want to like move that out, to the sides of the mix, maybe put a stereo delay on it or like pan it. To give that more kind of atmospheric vibe with this lo-fi because you have a lot of room in the mix, right? And I feel like you can expand on that, and that's through like a production kind of style. So that's kind of like almost a preference. So in terms of like our scale of good to go, it's pretty close. So I would be like, I think 80% perfectly fair, 80 or 90% between green and yellow. Overall track total that gives me to it's like 75% good to go. Like I could see this like if you're releasing it, depending on the context, right? Maybe you make it a little bit longer if it's a full song. If it's like a transitional kind of piece, it might be good to go. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I think that's fair. I'm almost thinking like like contingent on if it is supposed to be like a transitional track on an album or like something that's meant for like sort of not non-full consumption, if that makes sense, like something that's supposed to be shorter, then it's like an 85%. But again, if it's like just supposed to be a regular song you want people to like add to playlists and like you know do homework to, I think it's like more of a 75%, but it's contingent on what the purpose is.
Mhm.
So Roland,
Roland.
what do you think?
Agreed. 100% agree. Yeah, I give it the same score. I can see it being on that. What's that? that lo-fi music playlist
Lo-fi
on
hip hop
YouTube.
or
Oh,
Yeah,
hundreds now.
with the girls studying and
yes,
the
that
anime
one.
drawing. Man,
Exactly.
Dude,
I mean, it's there, it's there. So great
yeah,
job on
and
that.
Mick Chiquino, dude, like, try your hat at it. Like, submit at these playlists. You never know. You might
Yeah,
get put on.
Yeah.
That's a lot of viewers too, so cool. That was our first song. Congratulations. How does it feel, Roland?
great. Yeah, thanks, you guys. Sorry about that technical difficulty right there in the beginning. Yeah.
No, no, it's all
That's whatever.
good.
Alright.
So before we go to the next one, as
Yeah.
we said before, we got a donation from how do you pronounce his artist name,
Lil
Chris?
Rary.
Okay,
Lil Rary, yeah.
Lil Rary. So yeah, I was just gonna send that same thing.
Yep.
Um, if anybody wants to jump the queue, right now we have like 10 people in the queue. Roland's a popular guy. He's got the credentials to support
Mhm.
his feedback giving, so people want feedback. But if you want to jump the queue so that to make sure that you get reviewed during this show, we're about at double capacity right now
Yep.
for the number of slots we have. So if you want to jump the queue, just make a donation, whatever you feel is the right amount,
So
$5, $10, doesn't matter.
that being said, Josh, we have Lil Rary right now, right? Does anybody
Yes.
else tip, or do we just
Nope.
go ahead with?
That's what we've
Okay.
got right now.
All right, so Lil Rary, you are up next. If you are in the chat, we have 2 songs from you, and we want to try to get through everybody first, so we'll probably just do one. Um, I think we're gonna do hazy, unless you like say off track is what you want to do first. Let us know because I'm gonna read the description, and then if you haven't chatted, then I'm gonna do the first song. So um, that being said, he submitted 2 songs. It's called Hazy. It's a finished release. It's his first ever release. And then there's another song called Off Track, also a finished release that he's dropping soon. So this looks like more from an aspect of maybe you know an after release change up if he wants to like clean up his mix or anything like that, or just apply it to the next song perhaps. But yeah, it looks like they're finished release. Did we get
Cool.
anything from Rary? No. All right, we're gonna do the first one. So Hazy, if you guys can get the links up, it's his first ever release. So I'm excited.
Yeah, just give us the thumbs up if you're ready, Roland. Thumbs up. All right. We good,
Your thumbs
Chris?
are up.
Yep.
Oh shit! All right, Hazy, prod by Frizzy, Lil Rary. 3, 2, 1.
Oh my gosh.
Baby, who am I to lie? 'Cause I thought you would've said. Baby,
Rage
I am
beats.
on the way, even though I might be late. Can I take you for a ride? My drop top through the rain. Then let's do this one more night. Yeah, let's drive until it's light. You know what I know, but you don't let it show. So let's keep it on the low. Ain't nobody got it all. Don't know another girl who gon' do it like you do. And I should've get my world, I ain't even had a clue. And although I might sound crazy, you been on my mind so lately. Let my memory so hazy, so let's bring them back. Let's bring them back. Babe, you leave my mental soul. And I cannot believe that I'm in a mental war. You were all I ever wanted, yeah, I never wanted more. And it echoes through my core. Took pills for the pain, 1, 2, 3, and maybe 4. Girl, you took my heart and you left it on the floor. And I knew it from the start, and I still came back for more. And I'll still be waiting right here when you knocking at my door. Baby, who am I to blame? 'Cause I thought you would've said. Maybe I am on the way, even though I might be late. Can I take you for a ride? My drop top through the rain. Then let's do this one more night. Yeah, let's drive until it's light. You know what I know, but you don't let it show. So let's keep it on the low. Ain't nobody got it
Like that little,
all.
you
Don't know
know,
another
behind you.
girl who gon' do it like you do. And I should've get my world, I ain't even had a clue. And although I might sound crazy, you been on my mind so lately. Let my memory so hazy, so let's bring them back. Let's bring them back. Man, you got me in my feelings, don't know how to act. Steady calling up your phone, baby, where you at? Man, you got me in the dark, let me show you to the light. And we cannot go a day, yeah, without a single fight. And then we get tonight, and we fucking till it's light. But that don't make it right. And baby, it don't feel right. Baby, who am I to blame? 'Cause I thought you would've said. Baby, I am on the way. Can I take you for a ride? My drop top through the rain. Then let's do this one more night. Yeah, let's drive until it's light. You know what I know, but you don't let it show. So let's keep it on the low. Ain't nobody got it all. Don't know another girl who gon' do it like you do. And I should've get my world, I ain't even had a clue. And the way my so crazy. You been on my mind so lately. Yeah, my memory so hazy. So let's bring them back. Bring them back. Baby, let's bring them back. Yeah, yeah,
On some toxic relationship type beat, we got Lil Rary. Thank you very much for the submission, bro, and for the tip. Um, yeah, let's go through the three. Roland, are you done listening? Yes, you are.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, who wants to go first? Josh?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I think we should just go in order, but I was almost like, should we go do production first? But just try to keep it in our heads, I guess,
Do it.
until then, because it's related. I would say like vibes for me. Again, relating to the production side, I don't necessarily feel like the vibes are being transmitted transparently through this. And again, that's more because of the production side.
Yep.
Like I was realizing, I actually really like what's happening, like melodically and with those synth pads, like the parts together, I think made sense, and there were some cool like dropout moments. But I
Hmm.
felt like the mix was not necessarily serving those aspects in a number of different ways, which we can get
Hmm.
into in production.
Hmm.
Leaving that stuff aside, I think overall vibes. This is more like your area, Chris. More
Yep.
less more than mine. I'm
Yeah.
not super big on hip hop.
Yeah, more than mine too. So,
But I
Chris, yeah,
also I don't know if that means that like if you're in a genre, you have to like every aspect of something, right? Like if I were in hip hop, I might. What I'm thinking right now is like I have heard a lot of stuff that sounds pretty damn similar to the
Hmm.
overall structure and sort of vibe that's going on here. I don't know if it seems super unique. Maybe if
Hmm.
you're in that genre and you're like, that's fine. I like this genre, like punk rock, like everything sounds the fucking same, right? And if you like that, it's fine to hear it a bunch of times. Blues, lots of songs sound very, very similar, right? But that's
Hmm.
okay if you like the genre. But
Hmm.
for me, maybe it's an aspect of the genre that I'm not super privy to, and so for me the vibes would be a little bit lower than yours. Um, my score, given all of that, I don't have a whole lot other than, yeah, it sounds like it's a well put together hip hop song. It sounds a little bit like other stuff that I've heard before. I
Hmm.
would give it probably like a 40% between yellow and green, between
Hmm.
develop and good to go.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Chris? I'm curious to know.
Oh, my next are rolling. But
Either
yeah,
one.
I'll do it. I'll
go
do
go
it.
ahead, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So shouts out Lil Rary. I know him. He's an HAC up and coming youngin on the mic. And as you guys can hear, he does have like the talent in terms of making melodies that really stick and really catch.
Yeah.
Um, but I do agree with Josh that like all the kind of topics here, like toxic love relationship, almost like what I want to who do I want to name? I was thinking like kind of Lil Uzi Vert, but Lil Uzi Vert has a little bit more energy, like kind of Juice World vibes that I'm getting as well. Um, and so I think with the vibe that I get is like probably exactly what he is like an up and cutting artist, like trying to find his footing in the game. And I feel like the way that people do it first is to try to emulate like who they think sounds really good, who's their idols. And so I see that Lil Rary's here at that stage where he's doing it and he's starting to do it well. But something that I want to see and I want to hear is what makes you specifically unique. Like, I don't think I've had too much of it. I've had some toxic relationships, so let's put that. Everybody's kind of been in a
Who
toxic
hasn't?
relationship, right? But like what like I'm hearing like some kind of tropes here, like uh what I want to word like cliches sometimes, like oh like blowing up her phone, you got me going crazy. Drop top through the wraith, like I feel like a lot of people use that, like talk about your car here. What is this, Toyota? That's not a
Yeah.
drop top.
Yeah, like, it didn't
Like,
even have a drop top. That's the one thing that gets me is, like, talking about shit that's not real.
yeah.
Like, you don't have a fucking drop top. Stop saying it.
Well, I don't know, bro. Maybe he does. Maybe,
Maybe, but show it on the album cover.
maybe. But yeah, like
But it's like,
so
why? Like, if you can choose your lyrical content, why choose something that is not a reflective picture? Like, maybe you're trying to paint a picture and it's not you.
right.
Maybe it's not supposed to be you, right? But even like lyrical choice, like, does it have to be the same thing that's in like 50,000 other songs?
Yep.
That's the thing that gets me personally is like, I like hearing like, oh, this artist is saying something new, or they're
Mhm.
saying something unique, or they have a unique sound. Like, at least one or two of those elements need to be truly unique, right? Not all of them need to be, but that's
Yep.
just what I'm wanting more from, like, from you as an artist. You've got a lot of the skill to do these things, right?
Yep.
And you're building those skills,
Yeah,
but it's
you have a
just like,
silky smooth delivery, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I totally agree. Great, like,
Hmm.
vocal tone and all of that. It's
Hmm.
just a matter of, like, then what's the next step? Like, maybe this is the first step, and that's great, and then you're learning all the time. But
Yep.
maybe, like, start thinking about what makes me unique as a person or as an artist. What is my message that is different from anything else, and how can I bring that across through the lyricism, the songwriting, the sounds that you use, the
Hmm.
production, all any and all of those things together.
Do we
Yep.
know if he produced this himself or not?
No, it should be. It's prod by Frizzy. I
Frizzy.
imagine that's not him, but
Oh, I see.
Nate, let
I
us
see.
know if that's wrong. But yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of agree. I do give you points for like having a really nice voice, and I think the vocal processing chain that you have and the autotune, it sounds good on you. Just try to make those lyrics, a little bit more unique. The game is getting really, really saturated, and it's hard for people to stand out if they all kind of sound the same. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so for that, like, it's on its way to good to go. There are some the vibe I get is like this is a SoundCloud rapper. So like it sounds like pretty decent on the mix, but it could probably be a little bit better. I imagine these guys will have tips for it. So I'm around like 50% between green and yellow. I think it's decent, but yeah, like maybe some more unique stuff. What do you got, Roland?
Yeah. I want to chime in and also say that um, I am not as well versed in the hip hop genre
Hmm.
as, especially as you are, Chris.
Yep.
So, and even saying that, this does sound generic to me a little bit, right? Or it
Hmm.
sounds like something I've heard before. And that's not a good thing, actually, right? For somebody who doesn't even listen to the genre that much, right? But that being said, though, it didn't sound like something bad that I've heard before, right? It sounded like
Yeah.
it actually sounded something like a good hip hop song, like you said, Josh. It's like a well produced hip hop song,
Hmm.
and yeah, I mean, but that being said, though, that is where its fault is that I
Hmm.
actually I as I'm sitting here, I'm struggling to remember a hook. I'm struggling
Hmm.
to remember what was going on there, other than the vibe, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so in that regard, yeah, I kind of echo what you were saying, Chris, and what Josh you were saying, just to find something unique to say in your own sound, right? And really
Hmm.
to sell that message harder, because the sound is good, actually, the delivery is good, right?
Hmm.
But the lasting impression maybe not necessarily there yet.
Yep. Fair. Did you give a score?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna give it actually a 50%
Yep.
because I think that actually I like the delivery a lot.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just don't think that the impression that it left me was something that's memorable or some maybe an artist that I really want to dig into their catalog. Right?
Yep, that's fair. All right, what we got for content, Josh?
Content. I mean, I think we sort of talked about it. I don't really have
Yep.
much more. It's just like, thinking about how you can spice up either the
I was thinking that.
structure
Yep.
or
Mhm.
some of the lyrics. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. I would say it's like, for content for me, like, a rounded develop. Just, squarely, it's like there's some work that could be done probably,
Hmm.
maybe a little bit above that even, but in that general territory.
Yep. I think I want to say I had a couple things in mind about spicing it up. Like one of my favorite artists is Lil Uzi Vert, and like what he brings to the table, like he will do different octaves. Like he'll do a high verse or like a low verse, and he'll like bring new energy to like a whole different part of his song. So also like I think it's around halfway. There's like a beat dropout, Lil
Yes.
Rary.
Hmm.
I was like this is a perfect spot for a feature, like something different or like a different like delivery or a
Yeah.
switch up. So I would look into doing something like that because like we all said, like you have an ear for it. I really like that, but I know, but and like that little
Yeah.
melodic thing in the hook. I think it's very catchy. So just try to challenge yourself to do something like a switch up, because it's just one person on a beat. And there's probably, I mean, I'm like in this game, so I feel like this is a tight beat, which is fine. But like that means that it's kind of gonna be up to you to make it like a switch up happen. So that's what I was looking for. Um, for that, I'll say content is probably the one of the lower scores on it, just because of the originality stuff. but I'll go 25% between green and yellow. What do you got, Roland?
Yeah, I'll echo that as well. I think that actually a lot of my content commentary has to deal with production, actually, more so
Mm.
than the actual content, because some of the lyrics, I think I'd have to listen to it again to really get the actual content right. So it was
Mhm.
kind of lost on me on that first listen.
Mhm.
I was just vibing, right?
Yeah.
but yeah, I think I'm gonna go with maybe like a. I think I'm gonna go 50% again, actually, between maybe like a yellow and a green.
Fair.
Just because I actually am not a good judge of that content, but I do
Mm.
think that the content could be better.
There you go. All right, production. Roland's gritting his teeth at production. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll go first on the
Yeah,
production.
yeah,
Actually, I think
Yeah.
that it's already been said, like with the dropouts or the variety, right?
Mhm.
But I can tell like that clap. I've heard that 808 clap a
oh
lot.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And even in the mix, and I understand that it's centered and you're not trying to get it in the way of the vocal,
Mm.
but and it's about the kick and the bass, right? But it's pretty dark in the mix, that 808 clap, and that's providing your 2 and 4, where I want it to kind of hit a little bit, right? And I know that you hear like a Drake production, like a 40 production, excuse me, and they'll be taking that 808 clap and they'll like make it stereo,
yeah, yeah.
and instead of it being mono under there, and that clap after a while became monotonous to me,
Mm.
throughout the song. It's something that actually stuck out to me, especially when you were talking about that beat drop around, I don't know where that is in the
Mhm.
song. I can see it in the SoundCloud
Yep.
waveform,
Yep.
but like I would have liked to have heard some super washy effects on the clap, you know what I mean, or like something to provide more atmosphere there, or
Yeah,
is a
very
switch
very
up
dry.
instead. Yeah, but it was left dry. You know what I mean? Exactly, and it felt like a lost opportunity, right? Um, and so yeah, I mean that stands out to me and especially as somebody who doesn't do a lot of treatment on samples, right? It still stood out to me as something that I felt could be improved and it could be more impactful, right?
Mhm.
Other than that, though, I do think that the delivery of the kick and bass was great. Actually, I turned it up pretty loud on the NS10s with a subwoofer because the subwoofer is critical for the playback of this song,
Mm.
and it was tight. I was impressed. Actually, it sounded good, and I can imagine that transferring to a car well, and it's just rocking it,
Mm.
right? In a good way, not in a drony way, right? Whereas the last song that we were listening to, I felt could potentially be drony, right? This one, the kick and the bass relationship actually was pretty tight. Whether or not it could be produced better, I'm not so sure, but the way it plays back is tight, and so I like that. I think it speaks to universal transferability in my opinion, and it has a certain air of professional sound to it, right? And I like
Mhm.
that. So I thought that was good.
Shouts out Prod Frizzy
Yeah, and
on
even the
the
vocal
beat.
chain too, Chris. You mentioned the vocal chain also.
Mhm.
I'm also not the expert at those effects, but I was interested. There's stuff happening. That
Mhm.
outro had a different effect, right? You had those
Mhm.
kind of like side vocal delay things going on. I liked it.
Mhm. Yeah,
What's
it's a
your?
silky smooth kind of. Sorry, go for it.
I was just gonna say, do you have a score?
Oh, I'm gonna give it um only because the vibes were very strong, and I do think that I could hear it being played back in the car and somebody bumping it, right? I think it's like a solid 60% maybe,
Mhm.
60% between yellow green.
Mhm.
Cool,
What do you got,
sweet.
Josh?
Um, so actually, there's a couple things that are like halfway, like production slash content, because it's like the meat and not just like the mixing. Although production, whatever, it's subjective. But there were a couple of points with those like synth things, like the do do do
Mhm.
do do do, those parts that I was a little bit confused. Like I don't know if the sound choice was correct for the rhythm, the harmonic rhythm of that whole sequence. Like it was a very swelly pad, and so it was taking a while for it to ramp up, like the attack, you could say, of those parts. But there wasn't then much time for it to sustain, and it almost had the illusion of the time being off. Where it's like by the time that like the MIDI might be correct, right? It might be snapped to the grid. By the time that those pads swell up, they're like behind, and it sounds like the attack is later. I also thought there may be a couple of points when timing wasn't super locked in between various parts. Sometimes it may have been a vocal delivery related thing, or sometimes it again might have been like drums versus other samples. It's common that if you're bringing a bunch of samples in from different places and you're like stretching them and you're trying to snap them to the grid, the transients might not always be right with the groove, right? Even if it looks like it's snapped to the grid.
Mm.
Um, so there's just a couple of things maybe to look over, like, on that more detailed. But other than that, more on the production side, I thought a lot of it does sound good, like nice kick. I agree that the clap sounded very like one dimensional and kind of a little bit I guess you could say stock maybe, but it
Yeah,
just I wanted it to either, you said dark. I could see it like removing a little bit of the low end or like low mid content from it and making it a little bit snappier, a little bit more airy. And then also, the stereo sort of helps with that effect, maybe adding some other effects on top of it to
yeah,
just make it pop a little bit more and not feel so like overbearing, like it's the super dry clap sound that you have to deal with.
yeah.
Um, and then the other side, the vocal chain, I personally thought that it sounded maybe a hair over compressed, maybe
Mm.
a little bit, or compression mixed with EQ, because I know you can get really good results with a very compressed vocal sound, especially in this genre. But there was
Mm.
something about it that sounded like, oh, somebody just threw, a compressor, an aggressive compressor at that, and then maybe did a little bit of band passing. And it was that mixed with the reverb wash that was on it. I felt like it was taking away definition from the vocal.
Mm.
There was a ton of reverb washing that, like washing through the mix and just kind of burying things a little bit for me.
Mm.
But that's really the mix feedback that I could think of. Hopefully that's like useful. Um, and yeah, I think for production, I would give it uh, I'll say a 60% between yellow and green.
Mhm. Did you think it was a little like needed some a little bit more low end on the vocal? Did you think it was a little tinny?
Maybe a little. I mean, again, I think you can often get away with a nice, like, sort of compressed, slightly, not really band passed, but like high
Mm.
passed
Right.
vocal sound, and it can sound kind of radio-ish, like that sort of walkie-talkie sound that can be
Yeah.
appealing, or a little bit, a hint of that.
Hmm.
Roland,
Yeah.
were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say, well, I think that a lot of that, some of the overcompression on the vocal, I don't even necessarily know if it's overcompressed actually, because I think
Hmm.
that it's compressed to sit on top of the bass in hip hop music, and
Hmm.
so that's hard when you're playing it back over
Yeah.
speakers. I can imagine on headphones maybe it sounds a little bit that it got slammed a little too hard,
Mhm.
Mm.
but on speakers over here, especially with the subwoofer kind of rocking, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
The vocal was compressed appropriately almost because
Yeah.
it's standing over the bass, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
And so I can understand the criticism that it's perhaps too slammed, but also
Hmm.
that is the consequence of the genre as well, because you need that bass to be bumping,
Well, so I have a question then. Even if like if you were to address like any clash with the bass or whatever,
right?
do you think that like on monitors maybe it's like acceptable in on those listening environments the level it's at with vocal compression, but do you think that if there was less of that it would maybe even like jump out of the speakers more potentially?
It depends, because I mean I didn't bring it down to my little guys, right?
Yeah,
And sometimes when you bring it down to a smaller speaker system like that,
just
that's maybe
overpowers.
bass efficient. Yeah, then all of a sudden it's the vocal is too dynamic, right?
Yeah, right.
Mm.
And then you lose all of a sudden the rhythm section that's supposed to be a tight hip hop track is like not tight anymore,
Yeah.
right? Or the vocal all of a sudden becomes rhythmic, right? In a way that's not good, right? Obviously, rap is very rhythmic in and of itself, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So yeah, those elements to consider. I did not listen on headphones, right? So
Mhm.
my experience was a little bit different, but I can understand where somebody might potentially say that the vocal is too slammed compression wise, but
Mhm.
also I thought that it it also could have been fine, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I could hear a little bit of both. I was wondering about the kind of full mix, the full master. Uh, I felt like it felt like the vocal was a little bit apart from the beat, and I felt like it could have kind of been smashed together a little bit, like maybe some more limiting with it. Did you guys hear something like that, or I'm curious?
I'd have to listen again. I feel like
Mhm.
honestly, a lot of some of those more granular, mixed commentary, I have to listen several times, and
That's fair.
oftentimes against commercial references, right? Because I
Sure.
lose perspective,
That's true.
as so, I think that I actually thought that the vocal was kind of was tucked into the mix actually pretty decently.
Mm-hmm.
It depended on how loud I was listening though, because at first I
Mm-hmm.
was listening softer, and then when I turned it up to maybe what would be bumping in the car, right? I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you know what? It's sitting okay.
That's
so
yeah.
so it
Yeah.
That's
depends.
what happened to me. Like I turned it up and then I was like, okay, but is that
Yeah.
my?
Well, because that's the trick, though, is like
That's a trick, right? Yeah.
the reality is that the variety of listening systems includes everything that we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
It includes people occasionally listening at lower volumes, people listening on
Yep.
headphones, people listening in cars, on monitors, and you have to try to find the happy medium between those. And again, the key is listening on a variety of systems in the mixing phase, and you probably will be able to get a better result between different systems if you do that in general.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
Right.
yeah, that's where we're at. Chris, do you have anything else on production?
No, not anything more that you guys had to say. It was more so like I said that with a question mark because it would probably warrant a second listen, but that was just like on my first time around, a kind of an impression that I got. Maybe it could be kind of a little bit louder on the first listen. It might have been different from Google Drive versus SoundCloud. I had to turn it up kind of considerably to enjoy it. So, but yeah, for me, it's like I really like the beat as well. I'd say like 50% between green and yellow for production. Overall, I think I'm at like 50% between green and yellow. I think you're a promising young and up and coming artist, and I want you to grow. So thank you for submitting. What do you guys have?
But real quick, just so we have time between songs, somebody did donate.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Let's go!
But your name on here was Jedi Gear, so I'm not sure which artist that is. If
All
you're in
right,
the chat,
Jedi Gear.
please let us know which
Mhm.
artist you are. But yeah, for track total, all things considered, I would give it probably a 50% between develop and good to go. I think
Mhm.
it's just like there are things to potentially address either now or in the future for like your sort of artist uniqueness and message and sound, making those you.
Castle Finn.
Um, yeah, it's the a Castle Flynn. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
It's that, and it's also just making sure that the production, you have these bases covered, and we talked about that stuff. But yeah, Roland, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with you too. Same score.
Thank
Um,
you.
I actually, I do think that the track. I want to just reiterate that I think the track presents very well, actually, though. And I thought the delivery was still very good. And so I know that we were more critical of this track than the last, but I do think that uh, you have a great sound, actually. I mean, you have the ear and the presentation, and that is more than half the battle.
Yeah, and let's also
So
say that there's like a big delta between like a bad first release and a like a great like artist track that's ready to stream to the fucking universe, right?
right.
And you are presenting something really good for a first release
Yeah,
track.
100%. I 100% agree with that. I mean, honestly, that delivery and that presentation is just like finding the correct context or excuse me, the right song for the right singer, right, or the right song for the right artist. I mean, you put him on another track that maybe is produced even better, right? And man, it could be lit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Cool.
Cool.
Thank you very much, Lil Rary.
thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
you.
much.
And we'll go to
And
the next person, Castle Finn.
so yeah, we'll go to Castle Finn. Also, like we said, Mr. Finn sent us a donation to skip the queue. We are pretty slammed today. People are loving you, Roland. Getting some comments in the chat. Sammy's Jammies said, "Roland, looking sharp, my guy." Don't know if you know Sammy's
Thanks,
Jammies.
Sammy.
Yes, you do. And we've got another one. CW sings, "Yay, Roland is dope." Okay, so you have some
Yay.
fans.
Thanks, you guys.
Also, they wanted to know what are your little guys, by the way.
Oh, so the little guys, yeah. So I'll reiterate the monitor setup so that the people watching know. So I have the Yamaha NS10s, the JBL LSR 8s. I think they're called. Actually, they might be the 308s, but they're an 8
Yeah.
inch cone. And then the little guys are my kind of mixed cube cheap solution. I have these Logitech speakers that are like $12 Amazon speakers, but I do want to make note of the fact that they are the most popular computer speaker that
Hmm.
is sold on Amazon. So
Wow.
a lot of people have
Smart.
these little guys. So I think they are actually a good reference.
Yeah.
Man, I gotta do that. You hear all these tips,
Do it.
people? multiple systems. I think Roland talked about it, like maintaining your perspective by using reference tracks.
Yep.
A lot of good tips. So yeah, so let's
Soak
go
it up,
into
folks.
let's go into the Castle Finn track. It's called She Rides. It's a work in progress, and the description says indie soul / freak folk artist writing and recording in Chambana. Got a 4-piece band and booking live shows this summer. Exciting, exciting
Cool.
of new music coming. Curious
Nice.
if you recommend releasing singles, EPs / album. Yes to all of them, but yeah, we can get into it. Let us know about it, Castle Finn. How long's the project? Do you guys have singles lined up? Are you pitching a playlist? Stuff like that. Also, shouts out to Castle Finn. He went out to one of our HHC shows, and I saw him in the bar. So that was crazy. That was surreal.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
But all right, so yeah, She Rides, or I think it's called Medusa. Did I click the right one? Did you guys? Does it say Medusa?
On Google Drive. Let's see.
Yeah. Does
Let's
the file
see.
say
It does say that.
Medusa?
Let us
Okay.
know if that's correct. Yeah, he said it's
Okay.
correct.
All right. Cool. All right. So Medusa or She Rides, Castle Finn.
Hold on.
3.
Wait,
Was
wait,
it?
wait. I just want to make sure you got the track, and then I want to update the stream
Oh, well, it's
overlay.
good.
And all right, it's on stream. We're good.
All right. 3, 2, 1. But it's She Rides. Ooh.
Hell yeah.
She's counting each
So cool.
sand in the sea, tattooed in ink, and the fingers
Complete Foxes vibes.
Got a garage thing.
Here he comes now with all of his might, yet you stay and put up a fight. He's a monstrous man with a sinister plan, sent up by the side of his hand. Clever and cunning is the beast he loves in
not the villain like it's told. Watch her as she turns him still and
I like those stops.
Cool outro.
There it is.
Huh.
Medusa. That was not Medusa. Sorry, it's She Rides. She Rides
Man.
by Castle Finn. Oops, it's starting again for me. That was a journey. Dreamy is a good way to describe it. Who said that? Sia Swings. Dance Girl. It'd be fun to go to the show. Drop the details. Oh, hey yo. And shout out to Chess Bro for giving a tier 1 sub. I didn't even know we had tier 1. That's crazy.
Hell yeah.
All right. That probably counts as a donation. But all right. So Castle Finn, thank you very much for the submission. We'll go ahead and start it off with Josh. What do you got for vibes?
Man, I mean, I think we've gotten some cool shit from you, Castle Finn,
Yeah.
before.
Yep.
You definitely have a unique artistry going on, and there's a lot of like interesting like storytelling and vibe setting here.
Mhm.
This is a really interesting track to listen to. I imagine I'm actually definitely excited to hear Roland's feedback here also because this is the live instruments and mixing domain, which I'm
Yep.
sure he has thoughts on. But like overall, I love what you're doing with the vibe right here. Let me show that on the overlay. The the vibes of the track and where you're going with it, what you're trying to tell this story. That's really cool. I think just for vibes, I would give it pretty much a green. I think again for me, sometimes like the content and production sides, if they need work, can sort of drag on the vibes a little bit, right? Again, the goal of getting your production and your songwriting and arrangement and all of that stuff right is to try to deliver that vision most effectively and to serve the vibe, right? The way that it makes people feel. So I might have to say like 90% between yellow and green because of some of the other issues. But what do you guys think?
Rolling.
Yeah, I think vibes also. Josh, I 100% agree with you that sometimes if the content or the production needs development, right, it does drag the vibe for me. Like I said earlier in the stream, I think the production should be invisible, right, and it should service the vibe. And so if it starts to distract me, then in that case, it does need development, you know.
Yeah.
But but still, overall though, the vibe was there. The vibe was definitely there in this. It was very dreamy. It was strong. Throwback vibes, right? And then just strong artistry in general. There's just a lot of unique sounds that were in there. And so yeah, I mean, I actually give it the same score, like a 90% between yellow green. You said, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for me,
Cool.
I agree that the artistry is really cool. The so many lush layers of things happening. Sometimes I felt a little bit bombarded,
yeah. I
but
agree with that.
I think a lot of it had to do with production.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some things were especially crowding. Uh, we'll get into it, I'm sure. But for me, like the symbols, like the ride symbol and the crash symbol. But we'll get to that. Um, but yeah,
Castlefin
overall,
said too much reverb and to preface or
yeah.
to
See,
yeah,
you know, you hear
foreshadow.
it
Yes,
too. You hear it
Yeah,
too,
you know it
Castlefin.
too.
But
We'll get
yeah,
to that.
yeah, we'll get to that. But overall, yeah, very dreamy, almost like a surfer kind of vibe. Josh said
yeah,
Fleet Foxes. I think that fits.
It's
The drums had
harmonies.
like a garage rock kind of feel to them too. It was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, all stuff that I like. I just felt a little bit bombarded. So I'll say 70% between green and yellow for me.
He
I'm a
said.
slut for the verb. He says. All right, content. What do you got, Roland?
yeah. Content wise, man, this is a song that once again definitely requires another listen for me personally
Yep,
because there
Yeah.
was a lot happening there.
Yeah.
You know, the lyrics as well, or the just the words. I was having a little bit of a hard time understanding them. I got a little bit of the story in there. Somebody being a Medusa, I believe. um, but yeah, I mean, I think content. It was so unique that I'm almost uh, compelled to give it also a very good score in content because of its uniqueness.
Mhm.
Uh, there are certain things that have sounds like that I'm not so sure if they're an instrument or they're where they're coming from with that. And I like that actually. I like elements like that. And so I think the content is pretty good actually. I will also put it at maybe a 50% between yellow and green.
Mhm.
But the execution, I think, dragged that content down a little bit because it made it hard to understand, right?
Mhm.
Or didn't deliver it in the best way. And so we'll get to that later. But I would put it maybe like a 50% between yellow and green.
Yep. Josh?
Yeah. Again, this is one that sort of intertwines content and production, but
Mhm.
yeah, I totally agree. Points about the reverb and just some of the general production making it hard to understand the lyrics, which again is why like production is important in delivering all aspects of your track. But I also felt like there was some interesting modality happening. You could say, like musically, right? So you've got some note choices that are non-standard, right? And some of that is like, okay, I can see where this is going. I have some musical repertoire to reference in my head that makes this make sense.
Mhm.
Other parts where I'm sort of like, wait, what mode or key or scale are we like in right now? Because there's a couple places where it feels like it maybe switches.
Mhm.
And I think those transitions are super, or they can be super, super cool when you switch from like one mode or scale to another. But you have to be, I think, fairly like clear enough so that the notes that you're playing on the different parts are perceivable, and it's not like so ambiguous with the delivery with the reverb and stuff that we can't tell like, wait, are they trying to show that they're in this other realm right now or not, if it's just again the ambiguity created by too much reverb or crowding or whatever. And then the other side of it is like the bass often sets the stage for what chord we're on, sort of, or even what mode or key or like sort of color we are currently on. And that was getting a little bit lost for me again with some of the crowding and the reverb, maybe the general mixing that was going on. So
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
just
I
say
didn't
that
hear any kick drum. I was listening for it too.
yeah, you've got a complex song, right? The content, the writing is complex, and your mix needs to be crystal clear for us to know what it's delivering.
Mhm.
And there's places to use ambiguity smartly, right? Like there's definitely places for that to add mystery, but there's also it's like you can create mystery with things that are clear sonically. So
Bless you, Chris.
Thank you.
God bless your soul.
Thank you.
So I mean, content is like your writing is awesome, and there's some cool stuff that you're doing. I might just want to validate again with a second listen of like, do all of these choices make musical sense, or do some of them maybe feel like you might be thinking of this like it's like autocorrect, like you might be trying to do this interesting scale, but maybe there's a couple of notes that are kind of not there, and
Yeah.
then it can be a little bit of a confusing listen. So just making sure those are like right, even though they're supposed to sound weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, content, I would give it a, oh man, it's so hard because the writing's so good. I'll just say again, 90% between yellow and green. There's an asterisk with a few things that could maybe be, proof read, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Bro, I'm so glad that we have different people to listen for different things because I didn't catch any of the music theory stuff that Josh just threw. So thank you, Josh. Appreciate you. Um, yeah. So for content, I couldn't get much of the lyrics to be honest, just because I think it was a little bit washed. Um, so I can't comment too much on the storytelling. I did comment on the vibe. It gave me like a surfer kind of dreamy vibe, and I think it's kind of what you're going for. Um, in terms of the reverb, it's hard to not go into production or keep it isolated. But there was weird because like the vocals and like a lot of the melodic instrumentation was very drenched in the reverb. But then like some aspects of the percussion was like dry as hell. Like the tambourine was like so dry and like right in front. I thought that was interesting. So maybe we could move that to production. But it kind of adds to the content, I guess. Yeah, so I don't want to go on too long to repeat anything that they said. One thing that I didn't hear about commented on, I think there was a portion in the beginning um, where the recorded artists didn't feel as locked in terms of rhythm. So I'm a drummer. I especially listen for the drums. I wish I could give you a timestamp. Maybe I can listen for it later. But it was definitely near the beginning, before you guys kind of get into the main groove that you get into. Um, yeah, just be wary that it has to be locked in, has to be locked in the whole time. Um, so for that, I think my score for content would be, I would say 40% between green and yellow. I think there's a lot of cool things going on, but I think a lot of it's getting drowned out a little bit. I agree the performance is right, mainly in the vocal. I think the vocal performance was decent. I'd have to hear it dry, unless you're covering up the performance by reverb. But yeah, let us know. All right, guys, production. This is the expertise that you're waiting for. Roland, what do you got?
Yeah, sure. The biggest improvement to this song is the production, and I think Josh and Chris, you guys have already mentioned it too. That if you are going to give a unique sound like this, something that's totally left field, right? It has to be delivered correctly in order for it to translate. And I think that it does. The sound is so unique that it actually does translate regardless, right here. But it doesn't. The impact is lost because of that. And so, in this particular song, um, I I am hesitant to say sometimes like people like to talk about cleaning up a recording, right, and mixing it better, and sometimes it makes it sound too modern, is what somebody would say, right? But if I think back of recordings, like I think about the Jimi Hendrix Experience, right? I think about Eddie Kramer sitting at the helm of those mixes, right, in the production and recording those recordings. They have that old sound. When you listen to them, you have to turn them up loud too because the master is really low, and the drums still have that live feel, but they don't sound like they're samples. They don't sound like they're blown up and over compressed like a modern rock song, right? But they're clear as day, you know what I mean? And the emotion can be felt in those, and you can hear everything, right? And they don't sound modern. They sound old, but they sound clean. They sound cleaner than the recordings we have now, actually, because there's less bass muddying it up. There's not all these overblown sounds, right? And that's the same type of treatment, the kind of Eddie Kramer mix, right, that needs to be applied to this song. So when I say that I want to hear a cleaner mix, I'm not talking about modernizing it, right? I'm talking about mixing it correctly to service this vibe, right? And I want to hear an Eddie Kramer mix on there, right? I want to hear that kind of clarity and all that kind of ghost noting that the snare drum was doing, right? And
Mhm.
you had cymbals popping out on stereo sides of the mix that just felt like they were abrupt and abrasive, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, the reverb issue has been already mentioned, but just the effects in general were kind of washing out everything. I couldn't hear the intelligibility of the notes, you know what I mean, or the intelligibility of the kick drum or the bass. None of that was coming through, right? And there was a lot happening that was interesting there, right? That I wanted to hear more of. I was turning it up louder to be able to hear that, and I shouldn't have to, right? It should just be there. Um, and so those things. This is where the production commentary or criticism to me does become valid because the production was distracting me from the song, right? And that's where it's not good. That's where it needs significant work, right? And so,
Totally.
those are the things that really stood out to me. I mean, even the master itself, because of the way the drums are mixed, is pumping in a obtrusive way, right? You can hear it pumping um, every kick drum hit, basically, right? Because it's just not vibing correctly, right? And so, those are the things that really stand out to me immediately that I think need to be fixed. And I don't think they're actually that hard to fix because the vibe is built into the recording, but it can be remedied in a mix and master kind of situation. I don't think you need to go back and re-record something. Maybe a couple of those bass notes. I think Josh mentioned earlier that the I think at the beginning there, or even some of the other parts, there are questionable whether or not those parts are actually musically correct, right, or
Maybe.
cohesive. Yeah, especially in the beginning too. The bass was playing something that was way out there that felt like it wasn't the correct scale, right? It was
Yeah, or you just you play a weird inversion and it doesn't sound right. So
Yeah,
that
sure.
happens.
And maybe that's a vibe. I don't want to tread upon that and say that
Mhm.
that's not something that you can't do, right? But it stuck out to me and
Mhm.
as something as incorrect. And when I have that instinctual feeling, right, then that's where it gets in the way of the message, in my opinion.
Mhm. So, do you have a score for production?
Yeah, I'm gonna put this solidly into the redo uh, um, uh, tier, if you will.
Yep.
Uh, and really actually just a redo in the mix and mastering stage, right?
Right.
I don't think it needs to necessarily be re-recorded, but it needs to be redone in order for it to be, what it needs to be.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or done
yeah.
further for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so I totally agree with all of that. I'll try to keep it quick, but firstly, my impression is that this, like the drums especially, sound, maybe the whole track sounds more like a live recording than it does
Yes.
a record.
Agreed.
Which, like, if you have you should have some level of control with the way that you record things and mix them to make it sound more like a record than a live, unless you really like want it to actually sound like a live record, then it has to be actually like a live record in front of an audience probably for that. So I would argue there's not really a middle ground. It's either like got to sound like a record, or it could be an old record, totally fine. Those were great tips that Roland gave on that. But the takeaway that I have from what Roland said is like, clarity is king in mixing, right? If we don't know, if things are just completely on top of each other, masking each other, there's like way too much reverb, we can't hear what parts are doing. That's like issue number one. In a lot of mixes, especially with live instruments, you're often going to get a very wide spectrum of frequencies from recording these things, unlike samples in many cases. And a big part of your job is going to be cleaning those up so that they don't clash with each other too much, right? So like a lot of those old mixes sound clean because there's not a ton of elements. That's one trick to make a mix a little bit more digestible. But in this case, I just feel like some mixing needs to be done. Maybe like in the future, a better recording setup for the drums. It could be partly that the recording is lacking a little bit. Maybe it's not a great room. Maybe the kit isn't like super tuned or whatever. I know that cymbal, there's a crash cymbal that was happening way too loud, and it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
and too long, and
Too long. Yeah.
like holy crap, that's such a low hanging fruit. Like go in and fix that now.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing that's like, oh my god, fix it please. But
Mhm.
then other stuff like the drums, there's more subtle enhancements, like just doing more mixing, like d- applying some careful EQ. This definitely could use probably some compression on a number of those different drum elements to make them sound less like it's just a live kit and more like it's a very purposeful, like sort of absorbable record kit.
Yeah,
Uh,
I actually think that there was compression on that kit for sure, but it was just done poorly. It was done
yeah,
incorrectly because you can
it,
hear it. You can hear it pumping, or maybe that's on the master. Doesn't matter. It's compression is there, but it's not done correctly.
right. Or maybe it's even a case of like you don't have enough mics. Like maybe it's like a two mic drum setup,
Yeah,
and
we don't know, right? Yeah, we
yeah,
don't
who
know how that
knows?
kit was mic'd up. I mean,
Right.
yeah, I guess I was saying that maybe it doesn't need to be re-recorded, but I don't know what the mix looks like either. And so if
True.
those elements are not accessible to the
Yeah.
mixer, a mix engineer might also make the same suggestion. Actually, if they
Hmm.
can't get the sound that they're looking for, right, then they
What?
might say the same thing.
Sorry, he just said parallel slammed compression Logic drums.
Oh, it's
What?
Logic drums.
Are you
Wow.
serious?
What?
Crazy.
That is ridiculous to me.
So
I
there's
mean, that's like a
samples?
skill. Apparently, that's a skill in itself, dude. That you
Dude,
took Logic drums and made them sound that far live that we were like, make them sound less live.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Shook it.
Shook it.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Fair.
Holy shit. So that means it's a lot easier for you to like fix
it's a
this
lot
now. Like
easier to fix
way
it. Yeah,
easier. I don't know how you did that or what you did exactly, but
Logic has a built-in plugin called Drummer. Is that what you use, Castlefin? It is pretty
sounds like
ridiculous.
it. It is pretty good, I will
Yeah.
say, but that's really interesting to me. It's good that that there's that much flexibility. I would just say it's a matter of like dialing it in a little bit to make it sound a little bit more upfront, maybe. Like it just, I'm sort of getting the impression like it sounds like it's a two mic like drum thing
yeah,
where there's not enough definition on different pieces. So I don't know.
yeah. Agreed.
I honestly found like the different elements of the kit were like panned
Verb. I mean,
extremely like different. Like the ride cymbal was in the left ear a lot of the times. The crash cymbal was kind of in the middle, but it also moved. The
Yeah,
tails on those two cymbals were very long, so that
yeah.
combined with
Agreed.
the reverb, it was just everything was washed out, and you get that low end washing out, and then boom, there goes your kick, it's gone.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I want to add to that and say too that, like, a lot of mixers often think of, if you are trying to make it sound like a live drum kit, right? And especially now that we know that you program those samples, I
Yeah.
mean, mixers think either audience perspective or drummer perspective, right? So
Mhm,
if audience perspective, then for a right-handed drummer, the hi-hat's on the right, you know.
mhm, mhm,
If a drummer's perspective, hi-hat's on the left, right?
mhm.
For a right-handed drummer. And so, I thought that I agree with Chris. Cymbals were moving, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not so sure where I am right now, and that might be that there might be artistry in that. And so, once again, I want to, always
Mhm.
qualify that kind of criticism. But then it was distracting, right? In
Yep.
this case, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was distracting, and also when it was mixed in a way where the tails just swallowed everything, it was like, "Oh, man, it's moving around and it's taking up a lot of room in the mix."
Right.
So, distracting for sure. Chess Bro, just resent. Can you confirm access? Yes, I will in the chat. Um, but yeah, I think I interrupted Josh's score, so what did you have for production overall?
Um, well, there's just one thing that I should mention. At the very beginning, my perception was this intro sounds like it's going to be really like high quality. There's like a cool like little fade in, and then when it came in, it was both like it was definitely quieter than I expected it to be. Like whatever level setting that little intro did, it the rest of the mix needs to be like louder relative to that probably, or the other way around. It's just a perceptual thing of like this is sort of setting the stage for a certain volume level, and it felt like it fell flat of that when the actual music came in.
Mhm.
That's just one little thing I wanted to add. But production, I think I would also say like it's somewhere between redo and develop. Like you've done some
Yeah.
good work. If you're trying to go for a more like authentic, sampled drum sound, then that's super cool what you've done. But again, there's definitely some work like pulling back on the reverb. Like make sure that you're I don't know, like not washing things out. That's really the main takeaway there, and things aren't clashing as much, and bring a little bit more definition into the kick and the bass. The bass, making sure the notes are right, and helping to support the like modal changes that you're doing overall. All of that stuff together.
I
Yeah.
want to add too one more thing really
Hmm.
quick about the reverb, since we talked about it so much, and obviously it is acknowledged as a fault of the mix from the the artist himself. If you do want to use that much reverb, because I'm all about that actually, the artistry of that. I sometimes don't wish to criticize if you want that much reverb on there. Sure, right, but put some pre-delay on that reverb so that it's not. It sounds like in this situation the reverb is on top of your sounds, right? I want put the pre-delay on there so that the reverb
Yeah.
comes after the sound, right?
Yep.
And I even become this is becoming hyper technical now, but I become even more anal about it, and I'll actually bring up a delay calculator online
Oh shit.
and put the BPM in and
Yep.
calculate the pre-delay so that the reverb is actually in time with the song and
Yeah.
happening after the sounds, right?
Oh, that's
Smart.
So
fire.
Smart.
and that becomes a millisecond thing, right? So I'll put in the BPM and it'll tell me that 50 milliseconds is a quarter note, for example.
Or you may have a plugin that does that. Some
Yes, or you
do.
may have a plugin that does it. Doesn't matter. Either way, you get the reverb to be in time with your song,
Yeah.
because reverb is just as much a timing effect as it is a atmosphere effect,
Exactly.
right? So it contributes to the groove equally the same.
Definitely.
Dude, that's an awesome tip. Thank you very much, Roland.
Yeah, sure.
Do the Abbey Road verb trick. I'm not sure what that means, Chess Pro. Um, yeah, for my score, I think I echo it. The fact that it's not a real drums, that was crazy to me, because I was like, whoa, how is the tail of this so long? Like, and then if Logic is putting that tail in there, like, they need to chill on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm at a orange as well. Um, there's a lot of things to like in Castle Finn. I've heard you sing before, so like, don't be too hard on yourself for the vocals. I did think that that performance issue, because it was the drums are programmed, it was probably on the vocal side. Now that you brought that up,
Mm.
um, but
Or
yeah,
maybe is it possible that they were like I don't know if this is the case, Castlefin, were the drums actually locked to the grid though? Or
mm,
did you play them on electronic kit? Could have still been timing issues if that's the case, or did you add some randomize or did you move things around to make them not locked to the grid? That would be good to know also.
yep. Let us know. But yeah, I'm at orange there.
It said locked to grid.
Locked to Grid, yeah. And overall, that puts me, I think, at like there's definitely needs some development here on the production side, but there's a lot to like on the artistry, a lot to like on the vibes. So I would say it's pretty much solid develop, if 15% maybe between green and yellow, but solid develop. What do you have, Josh?
Um, I think I would say, uh, what was your score?
Solid develop to
Solid develop.
15%. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm also just thinking about like it is really cool, interesting songwriting, and I think that that is a great foundation to have.
Yep.
Man, I mean, for me, I think it's sort of like half what the idea and the songwriting and the presentation are, and then half how it. Well, actually, this is the presentation, like how you deliver it, right, with the mix and the recording and all of that. So I would just say 50% between develop and good to go,
Mhm.
because some of it is really there and some of it really needs work to help get the other part to the listeners effectively.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and
Um, we'll
Roland's
get
not here right now, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
we'll get Roland's full score, but thank you very much, Castle Finn. Glad to see you in Rose Bowl and hope to see you some more.
Yeah, and
And
we should
people like it, man.
say,
So
yeah, we should say if we have any time for the next one to wait for Roland, we have time for 2 songs left,
yep.
and we have more than that. So if you want to skip the queue, do a donate to our. Here, I'll send the link again.
By the way, Chess Bro, I think, did the last donate.
Oh, okay.
He did a subscription to us.
Oh, okay. That was Chess
Yep.
Bro.
Yep.
Okay,
So Chess
nice.
Bro's next. Unfortunately, Chess Bro. Uh, okay, wait. Yeah. All right. We have your link now.
You got access? Can you send that in our chat, Chris?
uh,
Our personal one.
dang it. Hold on. It says request access.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Chess Bro, can you confirm access? We need
While
access
we
to it.
do that, Roland, do you have a
Oh,
track total score?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I hope that I went to the bathroom really quick.
You're
no
good. You're
problem.
good.
Should have announced myself. Um, yeah, track total. I'm actually because of how much production work needed to be done. I'm going to give it a 50% actually. Between, or what are the colors here?
Between
Between
develop and good to go.
redo and
Oh,
develop.
between redo and develop. Okay,
Yeah. Um,
which makes sense.
because yeah, because we don't know what needs to be re-recorded and what other elements are there that need to be fixed. But I thought it may be just a mix and master thing that could be fixed. But yeah, I think that it needs to be like that in order for the message of that song to come across.
Mhm.
Definitely.
But really enjoy the artistry though. I mean, it's great.
Yeah. Shouts out to you,
Absolutely.
Castle Finn. Chess Bro, I have access to it. Do you guys have access to it?
I don't know. Here, send it. Did you send it in our chat?
Oh, do I? Okay, let me do that.
Because it was sent outside of that, and
Well, it was sent in our form. Check that.
oh, I
See if
thought he
that.
sent a new one.
No, he. So I requested for access, but let me know if you guys
Oh
can.
no. Here, let me check and see. No, Chesbro, can you just for now make it like not restricted? Like make it
Yeah,
anyone with the link can view. If you can do that real quick, and just for the future, because we've had a couple of just in general, like we need to make sure that we can view them.
kind of the classic Chess Bro. In the
Yeah.
meantime, I'll go ahead and read off his stuff. So, blast off with a couple fours and a couple dollar signs here. Chess Pro X C Jax with 3 X's or 2 X's, excuse me. It's a finished released. It's going to be released in July. Stay online and in touch. You guys should join the metaverse and be part of their radio. Yes, so we have to get into this
Oh yeah.
metaverse radio thing. We're sorry about that, Chess Bro.
We've
Like,
been busy.
yeah, I've been so busy. We keep forgetting with our own little business here. But yeah, we can get back to you guys talking about that metaverse stuff because it seems to be the future, right? But anyways, do you guys have access to it now? Does it work by chance?
Not yet. He said he's doing it now, but Lil Rary said, "How often you stream?" We stream every Friday.
Yee.
Just about every Friday. You can check our Twitch schedule
Mhm.
to see if we're not going to be streaming a certain week. Sometimes we have conflicts, but for the most part, every Friday, 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Convert to your times as needed. Although I know you're in Central also. So,
Yee.
but yeah. Let's see. Do we have access now? Not yet.
Still waiting.
But yeah,
Dang, really?
just
Oh,
to
you know what? I do want to ask, Roland. We had a question from Castle Finn where he talked about any tips on releasing singles or albums or EPs. So I'm curious to know like your perspective on stuff like that. Do you have like a timeline that you go by, or what's up?
Yeah, honestly, the artists that I work with, and even with my own music, I'm still trying to figure that out myself, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I do think that albums these days are hard to digest, and people are, just releasing singles, or even worse than that, you're just making a little TikTok out of your song, right?
Yeah.
Trying to find the most memorable piece of it for people to put out there, right?
Mhm.
So, I think that you have to navigate those waters yourself. I do think that the album is a little bit archaic, right? But I want to see singles and clips and content be released in anticipation of the full project, right?
Mhm.
I do still think that that works, and to have the body of work eventually ultimately be released after you've built it up and spread out that release window, right, to kind of maximize your audience and the content that you're showing to people. I think that that's a great strategy, right? Um, I think that a recent example of that works really well in the modern music scene is the 1975 are still
Mhm.
putting out full albums, right? And they sound great. They have thematicism. They have, that old school, I want to go and buy the album, right? Feel to it.
Mhm.
Adele recently released, uh, what is it, 30, right?
30. She's 30.
Um,
Well, older than that.
Wow.
yeah, and I mean, that I was at Target buying that album, right? With the morning it came out. Granted, I was the only one there, but
Did you
you
buy
know,
a vinyl or CD or what?
I bought a CD. I bought a CD,
Wow, man.
and well, I actually CDs are precious to me still, man,
Yeah.
because uh, for me personally, as a mixing engineer, I need the wave files from the CDs as references, and
Yeah,
so
true.
I'm still a heavy consumer of CDs. I've been piling them now.
Interesting. That's
I have
awesome.
probably too many CDs, but yeah, I mean, I'm still a fan of that, of an album is what I'm getting at, but
Yeah.
just trying to maximize the content that you get to show to people, and drawing out that release window, as long as
Mhm.
possible to really muster up as much interest in the final product as possible is
Mhm.
definitely key. And then
Yeah.
you gotta utilize all social media avenues for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and it seems like algorithms nowadays, they really promote people that are consistent as well.
yes, correct.
So that kind of goes along with what he's saying. Hype up the album, or EP or whatever you're releasing. And one way to do that is with singles. So if you do 2 or 3 singles, depending on the length of the album, that's like consistent posting that get people hyped for it. It gives them content at the same time. So that's what I've heard is pretty good. That's something I'm also trying to navigate. But all
Yeah.
right, so I think we have Chess Bros thinking now, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's working. I don't know how long this is.
Uh
We
huh.
we might have time for one after it, or we may not. I don't
Yeah,
know,
we might not.
Roland, if you have a hard stop at 7:30.
No,
Mhm.
I'm with you guys for the whole stream. No worries.
Okay,
Okay.
so I mean, we said that we would do two more. I don't think we've gotten any donations yet, but if we
Yep.
do get one, we'll do that one after. We'll try to.
Yep. All
So
right,
that
guys, let's do it. Chess
You
yeah.
Bro,
actually
then.
look at this?
Was that?
Is the link in the chat for this?
Yes,
Yes, it should be. Let us know if
Okay,
you have
is it
access.
blast off? Okay, I see it. Got it.
yeah.
Great. All
All
right,
right.
blast off. Chess Bro, here it is. You guys ready? Thumbs.
Ready.
All right, 3. I think Roland's ready, so I'm gonna go 3, 2. Yeah, yeah. All right,
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go. Some whispers here. There's a loud mix.
Blast off, fuck all of your trash talk. Coming from the future, cause we got the fucking mask off. Fast cars, swerving with your bitch, we bout to blast off. Pass ya, burning all these rubbers like
I
the
want this
tires.
one.
I'm a NASCAR, I might fuck around and land some truck out on a black top. I might fuck around and leave a body with my last bar. Blast off, fuck all of your trash talk. Blessing is a curse and I'm your motherfucking pastor. Some things don't change, ain't no tears in the rain. I was broken and soaking up all of my pain. I was hoping a token, just get a little brain. But my bitch told me number days for counting seed. Like 1, 2, 3, leather books made out of me. Tomb walking, mummy corpse hungry. A fucking damn vampire, living lavishly. Living lavishly. And times I love when I can't rest. I lay my head down around and play dead. I melt the world, that shit takes effect. Run in the wind with the buzz that I catch. I don't love this sin, but I love what it meant. I could bite my tongue and cease talking. I right my wrongs and become king. I become king. Blast off, fuck all of your trash talk. Coming from the future, cause we got the fucking mask off. Fast cars, swerving with you, bitch, we bout to blast off. Pass ya, burning all these rubbles like the tires on my NASCAR. I might fuck around and let some truck out on my black top. I might fuck around and leave a body with my last bar. Blast off, fuck all of your trash talk. Blessing is a curse and I'm your motherfucking pastor.
Couple of them boys from up north, opening up the portal by kicking down the door, blasting off into another realm where we won't be ignored, where we always resort to putting forth whatever lets us help the boards and take what's yours. Push the pedal down to the floor on the fast track to it, pump like we're straight forward to your mind. I don't get the vibes, the time's on your side, not anymore. Listen to my lyrics, smorgasbord voice hard to come with me with those diagrams. I ain't bitching, but I'm switching up these flows like I was putting on a fresh face. I might walk, but I'm just a corpse, casket open, close case. The shit that you talk is lame, of course, but I drown it out with romaine. Every day we hustling towards life, living gold chains. The slow just melting down and pour 'em on a record, share it throw with the game. We instigating the change, out here paving our lane. Prophecies and seas of people, each one screaming our name. Bright light shining beneath the cap that's hiding my face. The only thing we've ever craved starts with a mic and a stage.
Blast off, fuck all of your trash talk. Coming from the future, cause we got the fucking mask off. Fast cars, swerving with you, bitch, we bout to blast off. Pass ya, burning all these rubbles like the tires on my NASCAR. I might fuck around and let some truck out on my black top. I might fuck around and leave a body with my last bar. Blast off, fuck all of your trash talk. Blessing is a curse and I'm your motherfucking pastor.
Whoa, what? Change that.
Interesting.
That's the thing with Chess Pro, man. If we get a Chess Pro submission, it's gonna be uniquely Chess Pro.
Yeah, that was a cool transition at the end there.
That was a cool transition. I like that. I wish you could make that like part of more of the song though, like do a little.
True.
But that was Chess Pro. I finally got the fucking future part he was saying. He's like, "We're coming for the future, so take the motherfucking mask off." I was like, "Oh, okay, now I get it." A lot of the stuff, like half those bars, I didn't get. I was like, "Wait."
It's funny.
I got one of them. But that was Blast Off. That's my Chess Bro. First impressions, Josh, vibes. What do you got?
Let's go. So it's always interesting, like as you said, with when we received submissions from Chess Bro,
Yes, sir.
because like at the beginning of just a few months ago, we definitely had some mixes that were like,
This is the cleanest sounding Chess Bro mix. I was about to tell you, like, say the same thing.
yes,
Chess
exactly.
Bro, this is clean. It
You're
sounds
like
very
coming
clean.
down. Like originally, it was like you, Roland. You would not imagine the brick walling like so in your face, like almost to like comedic effect is like crazy, but it's definitely coming down. Like the last few that we've gotten from you have been getting more and more reasonable and more like digestible, and but there's still so much energy, right? Like a
Yep.
lot of the stuff that we get from you has just this crazy level of energy that is like kind of you know, it draws you in. So this was a good listen. I definitely felt like there were some serious improvements on all fronts from stuff you've submitted before. So good on you for
Mhm.
that. Vibes specifically, I mean, again, tons of energy. It really hypes you up listening to this, wherever you're coming from. And yeah, there's like always a couple of things we can touch on in the other categories, but just for
Mhm.
vibes, not digging into those, I would say it's like a 70% between yellow and green.
Mhm.
Because the energy is really contagious. I like it.
Mhm. Mhm. Shout out Chibo B. We see that you have a donation. We'll check it out on our end. Chess Bro, for me, the vibes. I agree. There were some parts where the energy was really high. This is, by the way, like the most clean Chess Bro mix that I've heard. Like clean. Like before, it was very muddy and you know, bombastic. It was in your face is a good way to describe it. Um, but part of me is missing some of that in the vocal delivery. I think for me, the vibes that I'm getting is that you want to blast off and you want to like go fucking hard.
Mhm.
And I said in the beginning too, like I want you to scream it. Like instead, like you kind of get it like this middle kind of the road energy, and then near the end of the hook, you say something about NASCAR, and you kind of go like ah with your voice and stuff. I
Yeah.
want it to be like to the gas, like from the beginning. Me personally. Um, and then I like how you're changing up a lot of the stuff, but it might be a little bit too far out there for me personally. Going this time around, like at one point, it sounds like there's a twang, like a country twang. I think in that second feature, or switch up, it sounds like a different person. So let me know if that's you or if that's a feature. Um, there's also another one where you went kind of high, and it sounded like CS Swing said you win an award for breath control. Um, it sounded like he was almost out of breath the whole time. Like it was like he was holding his breath like this, like so. I don't know if that was the style you were going for. I didn't hear you take a breath, so maybe that's what it was. But it also felt straining. So there's
Mm.
like a balance between trying to make sound what you do. What is it? One of my friends used to say all the time, like when you're playing some music stuff or whatever, like you have to make it look easy. Um, and it's kind of weird because I'm asking you to like scream your heart out and stuff, but I also don't want you to sound like it's trying too hard, if that makes sense. So that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting, that I want you to go full throttle and somehow make it look easy. That's hard.
Yeah.
But
I have a comment
yeah,
about that. I was thinking throughout more about the timing of the delivery. Like,
that's C Jack. Okay.
there were a couple places with actually, honestly, with both vocalists where
Hmm.
I've just felt like the timing was not locked in. It
Yep.
was, and that gives that costs you impact, right?
Hmm.
Because listeners can tell that you're kind of not in the groove, right? Like, people, even if they don't consciously know it, really listen for groove and feel.
Hmm.
And if some of your bars are landing a little early, or you're trying to squeeze words in because, like, maybe you need to, like, for, I'm not saying with this specifically, but in some cases you need to rewrite so that you can get the words out in a way that
Yep.
flows well, right? That's like the
Yep.
art of delivery in hip hop, is like the writing and the delivery go hand in hand so that you can deliver something that really flows.
Yep.
But it might just be also like delivery, like slow down a little bit. Like, there are times when, like, you need to, like, be more conscious of the underlying beat and
Hmm.
not deliver the line too early. That's sometimes what it is.
Hmm.
Just again being really conscious of the rhythm, but still on vibes, so you can go ahead with that.
Yeah, my
Uh,
bad.
did you give a score
Right.
for your vibes,
Yeah,
Chris?
I got a. I'll put like 40% between green and yellow, because that stuff did throw me off a little bit. Um, Especially like with some of the things you kind of expect with a hip hop song, like rhythm and stuff is so important, and it's hard. It's not even just on the grid or off the grid, because there's some hip
Yeah,
hop genres, like I'm thinking of Plug and B in particular, where they're like known to be off the beat, but they call it being in the pocket. Like it's so hard. Like they're off the grid, but
it's
they
really
sound
hard.
good. And
Yeah.
so, it's no joke. And there's some spots I do think you guys were on in the pocket, but there's some that you were off. So yeah, Roland, what do you have? Vibes.
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate a lot what you guys said.
Hmm.
Chris, you were talking about delivery in particular,
Hmm.
and yeah, I'm feeling like I the the delivery also. I wanted him to blast off on it. You know what I mean? I wanted him to be all over that track. I think about I was going to
Blueface,
mention
baby.
yeah, no, I was going to mention this later when we were talking about production or content even, but I think about some of the more recent Kanye. I think about Yeezus in particular, right? That
Mm,
album where he's
mm,
just super angry, ranting about whatever, right? And he's so angry in his delivery, and so convincing in that anger, right? That he could say whatever, right? And we'd be totally convinced that he's about to, do that, right?
mhm,
and
mhm,
uh, and in this regard, I want the delivery to be equally forceful, that you're about to blast off, and you're about to
mhm,
be in these people's faces, right?
mhm,
Because
mhm,
you're from the future and we're behind, but I wasn't necessarily sold on that, right?
mhm,
Um, and so the vibe overall is actually there, but the delivery wasn't 100% for me, right?
mhm.
And so yeah, I'm gonna have to go with also a 50%, maybe between yellow and
Yep, I agree. Hello, wait. Am I hearing? Okay, Roland's not talking. I might just hear an echo. My bad. Josh, what do you have for content?
Um, I think
We kind
I
of went
don't.
all over a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I think we sort of talked about things that are relevant. Things that I'm thinking of in content are like the writing. I think it was like again, it was a really high energy song overall. I liked the way that it like the arrangement, went along. I liked that little thing at the end. I thought that little switch up was interesting,
Yeah, bro.
and it kind of a nice way to outro the song. So I think that stuff is all good. And then like content wise, again, your delivery is sort of part of that. I think what we already talked about is just like making sure that the way that you're delivering it is the way that you want it to deliver the impact you're thinking of. And it's
Yeah.
like there's technique and like hard to acquire skills that come into getting that completely right. It's
Mhm,
not going to happen all the time on the first take, especially if you're newer.
mhm.
So that's an area to focus on. But I would say score for production, or
Content.
sorry, for content, yeah, would be probably 60% between yellow and green because the delivery is so key to this. But the other
Mhm.
parts I think are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, content. I said a lot of it already. Delivery. Um, maybe some rewrites to be able to help with delivery as well. Some of the faster rap, it seemed like I think it was CJack's verse that Chess was saying that it sounded like it was just kind of straining and tripping over words and stuff. Um, for me, I think the production sounds pretty good. I think the content is probably what needed the most work. So that being said, I think I put it as solid develop, like straight up yellow. Um, I would try definitely some retakes. Um, the writing here and the artistry is like this is some unique shit that I have to like listen to. I guarantee I haven't really heard this before, except for maybe the future mask off bar. But even then, it was like kind of unique. So I like the artistry, but I want to hear some retakes and want some more energy. Roland put it a good way, convincing. So yeah, that's my score. What do you have, Roland?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna echo Josh here and go maybe 50% yellow green as well because I'm not as well versed in the hip hop genre. Again, I want to always mention that because
Hmm.
I feel sometimes I feel a little bit inconsiderate providing criticism for a genre that I'm not entirely familiarized with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean I think that the delivery is key here to sell this kind of message, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it the delivery not being 100% dragged that down for me and almost made it perhaps possibly generic, right? If it's not if it's not pushed like that, right? So yeah, I'm gonna go 50% between yellow and green.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
So
Production.
then
What do you guys have?
production. I mean, I don't have a ton other than the second Ajax was his name, right?
C-Jacks.
Ajax. Yeah,
Ajax.
that's a different product.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just felt like his when he came in, it was immediately obvious that the recording setup was very different. That's what it sounded like to me, at
It
least.
did.
Was
Hmm.
like, oh crap, we're on a different microphone, and it sounded too starkly different. Like, oh shit, I can see that this was like sent to the dude and then he recorded in a separate room, and it takes away from the chemistry of like it's a cohesive piece of music that you guys worked on together. Like it feels better if there's that commonality sonically between the two, maybe sounding like they're in the same room or like you guys are in the same room. Like having a mic setup that's similar can allude to that, I think. Other than that, I don't have a ton of comments on. Dude, Chris, I thought you were massaging yourself with a Shure SM7B.
Sorry,
I was like, what the hell?
my bad.
But yeah,
And over there with his
production.
hair again.
Yeah, production. I'll just say 50% between yellow and green. I think it's definitely getting there. There's maybe a little bit of clashing. There's some stuff in the background that's happening that leaves a little bit of ambiguity, but it's much better than. I'll bump it up to like 70%. It's much
Yeah,
better than previous mixes.
yeah,
Roland,
I
what do you
think it's
think?
pretty solid.
I have quite a bit of commentary on the production as actually.
Let's hear it.
I want to say, and these are the things that stuck out to me. And then once again, I am not a hip hop rap expert. So, but they did stick out to me, and so this is my opinion on them. Um, you do have tonality, or excuse me, melody in your lines and what you're saying, and I do think it could benefit from some auto tune. And I understand from the vibe that you are not trying to make it melodic, right? And maybe maybe you hate that sound and you hate that auto-tuney thing. You're trying to avoid that trend, right? But I'm talking like putting Antares on there and putting it at 50%, and it will
Yeah.
tune you a little bit because you're a little bit flat throughout the entire recording, right? And there are parts in there where you're kind of singing a little bit, right? You have tonality to your rap.
Yes.
You have some notes to your rap that you're trying to get out there, and it bothered me. They all felt like they were flat, right? And so I think it would make the vocals sit in the mix better too. It would feel better overall. So that's one thing that stood out to me. Another thing too. What am I thinking of here? The the bass, when I'm turning it loud on the subwoofer on the NS10s, it can be a little bit. It sounded a little bit drony to me at times, and so that's a little bit like your kick and bass relationship, right? And so I'm always looking for a tight bass, even on songs like that, because I don't want to hear it be boomy in the car in particular, right? And I am afraid of the way that it was playing back, that it might potentially be that way, and I couldn't quite tell. I'd have to take it out there myself and actually listen to it. But I was a little bit worried about that with the sub response. But it still sat, it still survived the sub, which is, I think, the most critical part. So if that is the way you wish the mix to feel, then it's correct. But I think it's something that maybe take a second look at. And then also I want to go talk about production in relation to the content, and also what we were talking about, like the vibes, because obviously all three of those elements are somewhat intertwined, right? The song that I want to reference, and I think that you have to listen to, is the Kanye song on the Yeezus album. It's called "I'm in It," and I don't know who the person featured in the vocals are of that. Chris, I know you're on it right now. You could look at
I
it
will look it
for
up.
me.
Let me see.
But the structure of that song, and I hope I'm getting the song name right. I'm pretty sure it's "I'm in It" on Yeezus. The structure of that song is almost the exact same structure as the song that you're doing right now. And it has the break into the faster vocalist, the second feature, right? Who's like a super fast rapper. And the energy in that song is unbelievable, right? And even Josh and Chris already mentioned immediately that it was a loud track that you sent, right? And I agree, like it does feel loud. The production, the mix feels loud, but Yeezus is even louder and feels more clear and better than the mix of your song that you have currently, right? And when I turn that album on, it blows everything out of the water, and the sonic aesthetic of that album almost adds to its impact and its message. And you're equally talking about blasting off. I want to turn the song on and I want it to melt my face, right, when it comes out the speakers. And we do feel that way right now, but I'm trying to say that Kanye did it better, and he did it in a commercial way that really translates, and that's the energy that I want to feel from this track also. And so I really want you to take a listen to that song as a commercial reference to try to see if you can match the same energy, because it really is very similar to your song. And yeah, those are my production comments.
Can confirm. Love to hear all the love at Yeezus. Crazy album. It was controversial when it first came out. You said it in a commercial way, but a
Yeah,
lot of people did
it
not
was a
like it.
controversial album. I mean, and he was saying some crazy stuff in that record, but
Yep.
I personally am a huge fan of that record in terms of production. I mean, I think Jack White even, gave a shout out to Kanye saying that the album sounded incredible, because it does. It literally, it sounds massive, and I rarely find anything. It's almost too massive, because it just blows up my speakers, but it's still extremely clean and very very tight, right? And so yeah, I mean, I think that would be a great reference for you.
Oh shit!
Cool.
I closed Spotify. I didn't get the feature. Oops, my bad. I did listen back though, and I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, the energy was crazy. In terms of score, Roland, what did you have as an overall?
Yeah,
Or
I'm gonna put it I'm gonna put it at like a 40% between yellow and green. I do
that's
think that I think there's more that needs to be developed, and it's not much actually, production wise, but it's really tied into the delivery. that does it for me. And so that is, you're going to have to re-record something. So that's why it falls under that in production. But yeah, it's more of the, it's not much actually. It's pretty good, but it's more of the delivery for me. And then those small little things that I mentioned.
Dude, you know what is weird? When you said the auto tune thing, the background vocals had auto tune on them. So
Yeah.
yeah, like, dude, slap that on the main vocal, just bro. Like, it'll
Yeah.
help.
But
I
yeah,
didn't
but
hear that too.
you don't need to overdo it, you know. Like I said, if you're trying to avoid that sound, whatever, you know. I'm just saying to put your performance in key, because even when you're rapping like that, especially the way you were doing it, you have a little melody in there, you know.
Mhm.
Might as well have it in tune.
That's true. I would
Definitely.
even say, like, even if you do the kind of crank it all the way type of sound on autotune, that's a very futuristic sound. I think could go well too. But yeah,
That's true. Or you can even make more story with that
Mhm.
by making it futuristic sounding when it's like the chorus, you know what I mean, and then not when it's in the verse, and then you'll
True.
have more variation there. You'll have more listener interest, right?
There you
The
go.
chorus brings the future in, right? You know,
Hey,
yeah,
that'd be fire. But yeah, for me, I think I don't want to echo too much. I'm around maybe 60% between green and yellow. I think it sounded pretty decent. I think the vocals might have been a little bit loud compared to everything else. Actually, when I think about the just the mix, that's kind of like my background. A lot of the time is just recording my own vocal over a beat, and so that balance I hear a lot. And in this case, I thought the vocals were a little bit loud compared to everything else. Um, but yeah, overall score that puts me. I think I'm at like a 20% between green and yellow. I think that the energy matters a lot in this kind of song, and I want to be convinced more. I want it to be hard hitting, and I think there's some retakes that you guys will have to do, make it more solid before I could say it's good to go, good to ship out. What do you guys have, Roland? What do you have for an overall?
yeah. I'm gonna mimic. I think I'm gonna mimic your score as well, Chris.
Mhm.
For the same things I said, I don't want to take up too much time by reiterating that.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, given that we've heard stuff from Chesro before, and I feel like this is such an improvement, I'll even say 40% between developed and good to go, because I
That's
think some of
yes.
these things are more like preference, but it's also just impressive to see you like how far you've come from just a couple months ago. And the things that we're talking about are like some of them are more major, like the timing of your delivery, and some of them are more minor, like just getting it to the level of fucking Kanye, right?
Yeah.
But that being said, I think this is a great improvement from stuff that we've gotten before, and looking forward to hearing more from you, Chesbro. Thank you for submitting.
Mhm.
Thanks.
All right,
Sweet.
so we've got one more to do. We have a donation, so we kind of have to.
They're now
Let's try
closed,
to.
though, everybody.
Yeah, and the submissions are closed, and we're back next week again for those who didn't make it on. So make sure you follow us on Twitch, follow us on Instagram, top corner of the overlay there, FastTrack_music, and we've got a Discord. If you go to our link tree there, there's lots of links that you can explore.
Mhm.
Um, sorry, yeah, we don't usually change the title. It's a lot of work,
Oops.
but
Yep.
the open queue just became closed about 10 seconds ago.
It is closed. But that
So
being said, if you submit using our form, we will get to it eventually. It's
yes,
just that right now you're at the back of the line, and we have a donation line. If you donate any sort of amount, it puts you at the head of the queue. And so a bunch of people kind of donated that. They saw their opportunity with a professional here, Roland Lim, giving some outstanding feedback. So they got to skip to the front of the line. And so next time, we have a big queue. We will listen to you eventually. But if you want feedback and you want it now, feel free to just drop us $1 or two, $5, whatever you want. $50?
10,
No,
20, a 100.
1 million. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But not
Yes.
so. Still accepting donos. Not today. Sorry, this is going to be
Well,
the
we're
last song.
accepting them, but we're not going to do your song today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. We're always accepting
If you
donos.
just enjoyed the show that much. Um, okay, so we've got Shibble B. That is our last track here. I'll send it to you, Roland.
I'll go
And
ahead and update the title.
yeah, song is called "Don't Let Me Hide" by Clay. So is it by Clay or is it by you? Um, there's a description. Did this in 72 hours for a contest, and people have received it well. I see. So Shibbleby produced it. Good to know. The artist, I guess, is Clay with a K.
Wait a
Um,
minute. Okay. Have we got?
cool.
I think we got Shibbleby before. I think I
I
remember
think
this
so. I think
album
so.
art, and from what I remember, it's pretty decent. I can't wait.
hmm
All right, Triple B, we're ready. Roland, you ready?
Ready?
All right, he's ready. All
All right.
right,
All right.
Clay,
Autoplayed.
don't let me hide. 3, 2, 1. This bass, dude.
Yeah, really
Don't let me
thick. Crisp.
hide. Stay so strong. I feel loving on. I swear so strong. So strong.
Fucking drums, dude.
It's like Tannen
I
Paula
swear
type.
it's not for me to leave me alone. So to me I'm twisting up so bad, baby, and I'm feeling like my head's so low. I swear I'm way to come. My belly wanna take my own. It's only when I used to fire, facing off of me, I shall listen now. We are forced to get how far I get so low. So now we need to live it up. Live it up. Time if we try, but time to live it up. And no,
Amazing.
live it love.
Hell yeah.
How can you not?
Stay so strong. I feel loving on. I swear I don't wanna switch out of top with the women on the picture. Tell me I'm about when I'm stripping up and then I hide my side, but they're living it up and then I call right from at the minute. Oh, I'm so pop, but they let it go. I'm not far, but to waste inside. But the baby, you can tell me when I'm really, when I'm feeling, when I'm numb.
Damn.
Oof.
That song's a jam, man.
Dude.
Very crunchy production,
Damn.
very clean.
You got a damn from Roland.
Yeah, we get a damn from Roland. I do want to say though, I thought I recognized this, and it's because it's been submitted before by
Really?
Triple B. Yeah,
This song?
yeah.
Wow, it still sounds fresh to me.
It does. It still sounds fresh. I definitely want to hear what Roland has to say about it as well.
Yeah. I mean,
But yeah.
I could start with the vibes commentary. I mean,
Yeah.
and just overall,
Mhm.
that's great. I mean, I think from today, that was easily the closest to, I don't know what's the tier or the color,
Top
purple,
tier.
like a top tier track. I
Yep.
mean, it sounds great. You know, I started on the NS10s, and that's usually my benchmark, right? For I want to hear the mix sound great on the NS10s, because if you guys don't know, the speaker is legendary for a reason, because it's a very terrible sounding speaker. So a great sounding mix, a truly great mix, will actually sound good on the NS10s. And when that came on, I was like, ooh, those drums, that clarity though, right? And that kind of control in the low end, and then the high was, was clear, and it punched. I was like, this is a professional sounding song.
Yeah.
I have some small criticism when we get to production later on, but man, I think the vibes, I'm getting kind of purple vibes from this.
Hey yo, purple
Yeah.
vibes, Triple B.
Whew.
I wonder what we scored it way back in the day. But Josh,
I
what
don't
do you
know.
have?
Man, I mean, I don't have much to add on top of that. This is a great sounding song. It's got a really nice energy. Love the vocalists tone and vibe and delivery and all of that stuff. It just sounds good. I would. It's like the highest that vibes could be. If there's purple for vibes, it's purple for vibes.
Yeah, man. I'm getting this crunchy drums, bass. It's very clear, punches through. I get like a Tame Impala vibe a little bit. Um, very well done. Um, yeah, I was bopping my head the whole time, and I was bopping my head still afterward.
Yeah,
It's
it's keeps going.
it's an earworm, man. Good job. If there was a purple on vibes, I think it would be there. So it's pretty high. Content. What do you guys have rolling?
Yeah, I have to take a second listen. Some of my content criticism, I think, actually blends into production because I was having some of the words were getting lost to me, the lyrics, and I think
Yep.
that's fine actually too because I do think it was sort of like this man was just the vocalist was just saying stuff, it
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
and
doesn't
I'm
vibe.
listening. Yeah.
And so in that case, it's okay because it coincides with the artistry, and I was like, cool. So I think actually the content is good to go. I would have to take a second listen to hear what they're actually trying to not let him hide from.
Hmm.
But yes, I mean, I thought it was good. Green.
Yep. Josh.
Yeah. Uh, Again, pretty much the same. Like the if you want to include like the sounds that you use, like fuck, your drum sounds are awesome. Your bass is so cool. The parts that they're playing, man, like some of those little drum switch ups. Ooh,
Yeah, and those like steel drums too. That stuff was crazy.
yeah,
Steel
that part.
drums. I don't remember.
Was it steel drum or was it was that like a xylophone or something or
They
Oh,
sounded like tuned steel drums or like some type of
crazy.
I don't know, like yeah, something like that. Those were
something
cool.
metallic? But that
Yeah, so
I
those were awesome.
those I actually wanted to hear a little more of because I thought it was a cool like melodic element that was coming in with that, like an additional like melodic thing. I love that when there's like this hook melody happening, and now we've heard the hook melody a bunch of times, we're used to it. Then you bring in a more subtle melodic element below it to kind of spice things up, and there's this interplay. I love that, but I wanted to hear a little more of that. That's more production, and maybe related to reverb on that stuff. But
Mhm.
yeah, content definitely is a green for me.
Yeah, so he said timbale and also two
Oh yeah.
disco tom hits. So
Yeah,
I can hear that.
nice.
And
Whew.
also, it's interesting.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh yeah, he's saying gibberish, but we're gonna backwards engineer the meaning out of the lyrics." It's a
Nice.
song about
Excellent.
him cheating
Hmm.
Dude,
on.
I love that actually because some of my production friends and myself we do that also where we're just riffing on each other, right, and just trying to just
Mhm,
make sounds. And I think
mhm,
some of the most creative things that we've ever done comes out of that, and I think some of the best records are made that way too. So
Yeah.
reverse engineer all you need to get meaning out of it. We're just trying to nitpick right now.
yeah,
Totally.
that's true.
Totally.
I wonder if that means Shibble B. I remember you said you did this for a contest for 72 hours, and this is very impressive. Are you looking to like redo the lyrics a little bit or the vocals or something? Like, let us know because I think it said finished release, and it's the same version I think that was submitted to us 5 months ago. So
Was it the same? Really?
I mean, it says 5 months
It
ago, and
says it
that's
was released then. Yeah. Interesting.
yeah. So I don't know, but let us know. It's I think there's a lot of potential for it. Um, the content, yeah, I think it's super solid, super green. It's one of those songs where I don't really need to know what the lyricist is doing
Yeah,
sometimes. Like
yeah,
it's like,
agreed.
oh, as long as it's not whack or he's like singing the theme song to Hitler or something, then it's like, okay, like I could vibe to this. There are some production stuff. I wonder if these two also have the same comments about it. But in terms of content, I think it's pretty much green. If I were to maybe give a little bit on the lyrics, it's like maybe 90%. But yeah, it's really solid. Production, Roland, what's up?
Yeah, sure. So I want to applaud some of the production on this actually first to start because man, it's yes, T snaps. Um, it's great, man. I mean, those like reverse vocal effects to come into there and the drums, the tight playing. Like I don't even know if that was a real kit or their program. Doesn't matter. It sounds natural. It's got a cool rhythm feel to it and the bass. Everything is great. I actually some what I am going to say critically, it could be taken with a grain of salt because you can change what I'm talking about, and then all of a sudden the vibe is lost, right? So I think you have it, and so in that regard, it's great. The production criticism that I do want to bring up though is that the vocal could be mixed a little bit clearer, in my
Yep,
opinion.
yep.
And I hesitate to say that because, like you said, he was saying gibberish. So maybe you mix it cleaner, and then we're gonna really realize that he's saying gibberish, and then the vibe is gone, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it sounded to me like, especially for how exciting those drums are, right?
Mhm.
That the vocal is behind the drums, you know. And I was trying to determine. I switched a little bit too late to my smaller computer speakers. I was trying to determine if that was really the case in terms of volume priority. But I would like to have heard what I would say hyper technically is a little bit more like harmonic excitement on the vocal, and
Mhm.
there is like distortion on there too, which is harmonic excitement essentially. But I'm talking something like an Aphex or a vintage
Mm.
exciter
Yeah.
to
Yep.
kind of
I
like,
love that shit.
Yep.
yeah, or like maybe not even that. Like I'm like maybe EQ it with less. I think it's like I can't maybe 800. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some type of something mid rangey there that I felt was just it was a little bit too. It was like getting lost for me, right? It wasn't as forward as I wanted it to be. So
Mm.
Aphex might make it too bright or whatever, right? Or just add it in there just for the effect of it, right?
Mm.
But I just wanted to hear a little bit more of that vocal in clarity wise, because there's other effects and stuff that was going on there too. So I'm not so sure how I would achieve that. I maybe have to listen to it again to really tell you. Um,
I
but
think
yeah,
in the by the way, Shibbleby said more harmonic excitement on vocal AFX at 800. I think that's a little different. You were saying maybe at 800 needs to be cut, right?
yeah, I think maybe an 800 needs to be cut, or it was
Yeah.
like I'm talking about gaining clarity, and then I was talking about the Aphex just putting it on there, right? It's the
Something to like brighten up the vocal, make it clearer a little bit.
right, exactly, yeah. And I was just thinking, Aphex came to mind because sometimes that's a cheap effect, sometimes it sounds too grainy or whatever, right? But since your drums are so exciting, right? Like I think you could slap Aphex on there,
Probably.
and it would do it, you know.
Yeah.
Like there's like a brighter male preset, and like just do that, and it would do it, man.
Yeah.
Just gain match it to where you have the volume right now, and I think that might provide the clarity that we're talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't really have a lot more to say. Like, I think we all kind of agree that the vocal clarity is like the one thing that we're kind of identifying here that could maybe be brought up a little bit.
Yep.
For me, it was manifesting as like I was getting kind of distracted by the verb that was on the vocal,
Yeah.
and I don't like. I think this song works very well for that amount, roughly, of reverb on the vocal, but I think it could be tweaked to be a little bit less conflicting or distracting. Maybe it could just be like I hear a lot of reverb. I think sometimes people don't give enough attention to getting the reverb sound exactly right, and they think more about the amount of reverb versus the tone of the reverb. And I feel like there's a lot of reverb tones out there that have too much like room room relative and like reverberation or resonance in like the lower ish registers instead of sort of airiness, right? Like I want air out of this to sort of ride on top of the mix rather than getting reverberation that includes like mids that might conflict with the actual vocal itself,
Yep.
to kind of get out of the way of the vocal, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
can I
maybe
jump in on that
yeah,
commentary
yeah,
actually, Josh?
of
Yeah,
course.
I think that it's perhaps that there's too much reverb, but I stray away from that sometimes because artists like the reverb. You know what I mean? It,
Yeah,
it
right.
does add to atmosphere. I want to say that the reverb was noticeable because you can definitely hear it, and it has mid range in it, and it's like it is affected in a certain way. But I do think the timing of the reverb. This is a song where there does
Pre-delay.
sound like
Makes a lot of sense.
there's pre
For
delay on,
sure. I agree,
yeah,
yeah.
because it's in the spaces that it needs to be actually,
Yeah,
or that it
yeah.
should be, and how transparent you wish for it to be is subjective, right?
Mhm. Right.
So I sometimes am like, as long as the reverb is in time and it's not atrocious, it's okay. So in this song, I think it was actually okay, but I can see where you're coming from, that it might be too much, right?
Yeah, and I think about like pre-delay, like we said, great tool for getting some clash out of your main thing and then the trail. But also like if it depends a lot on, again, what frequencies are reverberating in the reverb, right? And if those get in the way of your vocal and then they hang around too long, then
Yeah,
you can add as much pre-delay as you want and it might still conflict with the next line or the
right.
next few lines. So it's like, how quickly does it decay? What does that decay look like? There's a lot of different variables with reverb. It's not just too much or too little. There's also ways that you can, have more of the feel of a lot of reverb while not conflicting with other elements in your mix or the one that
Sure,
you're actually reverberating.
sure.
So that's just a, could be even a personal preference thing. But that's really all that I heard that stuck out to me as could use a little bit of work in this mix overall, man. The drums being crisp and the bass and all the like everything, just it takes it up to that level of like this is enjoyable to listen
Ag-
to.
Agreed. I want to add too that like I said, I started on the NS10s and I switched to the JBLs, and man, the switch was clean.
That's
There wasn't much difference, and so I like
Ooh.
that. That's like that true universal compatibility, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
And when I made that switch, I was like, damn, this dude is somebody's doing work over here.
yeah.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
great job on that.
So I mean, my score then for production I think would be like a 90%.
Yeah, same.
I started that with like I wonder if those two had the same thing that I had. It was the vocal clarity, and they gave more tips than I could ever give. In fact, I'm taking these as notes because I could always use improvement in the vocal chain. So yeah, well done on the production. I'm at like a 95 between green and yellow. That's fantastic. Overall track, Roland, what do you have? You
Can I,
were
can I
you were saying
preface
a
this?
pea color. I don't know, like
Can I can I
Josh.
give a little intro to this? Because so we mentioned a little bit of stuff about top tier track, and the idea just to introduce is like if if there's a track that we feel like first of all has serious like potential, like you want we want to add to our playlist. We think other people like could also really latch onto it. It could be like a popular thing that a lot of people really like because it's delivered well on all of these different axes that we talk about.
Mhm.
And the other side of it is this like a good example of like a really well done piece of music that we want to serve as a template for other people? Like this is how to one way to do it right.
Yep.
It's like if we feel like those things really are hit on, then it's like this is we want to highlight it, right? We want to showcase it off. That would be top tier track. Now, if we feel like there's enough room for improvement that there's like things that are blocking it from getting to that point, like no, like there's some issues here that would prevent it from really like getting traction because of the delivery or things are distracting or whatever, then that would make it, a high like a close to good to go type thing. So it's just a question of like, are the con or the detractors, do they detract enough that we feel like it needs more work before it can be at that level?
Yep.
So it's sort of, each person's opinion. We normally do it that it should be unanimous. If we all want it to be top tier, then it will be and it'll go on that playlist. It's
Yep.
not like it's like goes in some stone book, but it's, just a nice thing that we do. So Roland, given that, what are your thoughts on this track? How do you view it in that light?
Yeah, sure. I mean, now that I've heard the description of what the top tier track is for you guys, right? I mean, I hate to tread on subjective waters in terms of like what is going to be popular, what's going to be not, right? Of course, but we will give that opinion here because we're trying to be transparent and honest, right?
Yep.
And so, I'm not so sure if this track is as universal as you were talking about. Like everybody's gonna love this. I can hear this
Well,
on.
let me clarify a little because like sometimes we get stuff that's not like pop, right? And it's
Yeah,
it's I wouldn't say it's less about like will everybody love it or does it fulfill its purpose, like
sure.
like whatever we
Okay.
identify its vertical is. But
Okay,
go ahead.
great. All right. Well, I mean, in that case, I'll go with my first impression that actually I do think that this is a top tier track, especially the way the production transfers. Whether or not people like it or not, and its universal appeal, who knows, right? That I mean,
What is universal, right?
yeah, I don't think anybody can predict that nowadays, But in terms of just not me, anything holding it back for me, I'm not distracted by anything, Here, I was vibing with it, and I thought it sounded great, and it was cool. I would like to listen to it again and hear those drums on my NS10s because I have a hard time getting the drums to pop like that, And I was surprised, and so in that regard, it made me feel that.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. That first, there's something about a purple for me, and it's kind of funny because purples for me are like completely subjective. Like there's like a green where it's like, okay,
It's
this
that
is
gut
radio.
feeling, yeah.
Yeah, green is like, oh, there's a radio readiness to it. This sounds professional. This sounds good. It might not be like my personal cup of tea even, but like I could see that there's artistry there, that it's packaged really well. Um, but yeah, purple is something like Josh said. It's a gut feeling. I don't know what we rated this before, but I think this is definitely between a green or a purple. The question is, what do we vote? Do we all put it in a playlist? Would I want to put this in a playlist to show off that, hey, this is somebody that submitted on Fast Track Music? Look at the dope music that we have. I think I would, man. I think I'll put a purple. That puts it on Josh's shoulders, but we'll it's easy
I'd
to come in
say
second
it's
versus
a
three.
fucking redo.
Yeah.
Red,
Go home, Triple
go
B.
home. Yeah. No, I think like what I was saying before, and maybe alluding to it a little bit, the way I feel about this song. But again, it is that feeling of like, oh, this might be something special, right? Like, does this stand out in some way where like we've listened to a lot of different music lately, and we're like, oh, like this is doing something in my brain that not every song does, and I'm like having a good time. Like, do an instant replay, man. Like we were all having fun. We were vibing. It definitely fulfilled some goal in getting a positive response from the listener. And is that not really what like music is about? Like doing something to your listeners?
Mhm.
And again, I think it's like a really impressive example of a lot of different things of the artistry. I know that Chill B, you produced this, but like it's a great song. It's well arranged, well put together, really well played. The parts sound great. The sound choice, is very well done, and the production delivers it effectively to the listener. And that is, Roland would agree, one of the hardest parts of today's music environment is getting an effective mix to translate the idea of the song effectively, to be transparent. And I feel like this, bar a couple of tiny things, definitely does that. And it's a special song. So I think I would have to say it is a top tier track. We
Well, we
need like
got
a
a
button.
purple.
We need
Yeah,
like a
we need
purple fast
confetti.
track top tier track button that we can press, like
Yeah, we
confetti.
need confetti.
Yeah, like
You
actual
gotta flash your
physical.
purple lights over there, Josh.
Oh yeah, yeah. It would take a
You
while.
got
It's
something.
complicated.
We'll set it up next time. But dude, I think that's
Definitely.
the first purple in a while. It's few and far between. It's occasional. So
Yeah, I mean
congratulations,
the
Triple B.
the way those popped off my NS10s too, man. I just have to say, like, I felt that because those speakers are hard to satisfy and things sound terrible on them, and a lot of the previous mixes today were sounding very small on those speakers,
Yeah,
and this one sounded huge. I was like, wow, those are good sounds.
Sweet.
definitely. So cool. Thank you again for submitting, everyone, and Shibble. Congratulations. We will add you to our top tier track playlist. Anybody who
Sweet.
wants to find that, again, go to our Instagram, top right corner of the stream overlay. Follow us so you know what is up. And when we have guests like Roland on, and I'm sure that you will see more of Roland in the near future with Fast
Yep.
Track.
For sure.
And join our Discord if you want to. Tell your friends if they make music to submit. Follow us on Twitch to get notifications. All that stuff. And we are looking forward to hearing more. So now this is going to be like hot ones. We went through like, what do they go through, like 7 like hot wings or something, and they have questions, and then Roland made it through the gauntlet, so he gets to do a little bit of personal promo. What do you got for the viewers, Roland?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm still mixing and currently mixing in Chicago. And so please, if you enjoyed some of my feedback here and you want to take a listen to some of my own work and my own mixes that I've done for my own music and other artists, you can go to my website. That is mixing by Roland Lim. That's Lim as in Mary.com. Mixing by RolandLim.com, and you can take a look at all of my audio samples on there. And if you like the work and like what you're hearing, please send me your music by all means. Get in contact with me. Ask Josh, ask Chris, send me a message on my website. I'd love to work with all genres, but I do specialize in pop rock. So if you got live instruments, a real drum set, guitars, that's right up my alley. So please send it my way.
Absolutely. Hopefully, you guys see from listening to this wide variety of tracks, you might identify that things that are really well produced sort of hit different, right?
Hit
So,
different.
yeah, finding somebody who can match your musical vision and ambition and help you do the technical things to get there is critical in today's music environment. So definitely, if you're in the need, hit up Roland, and you can hit us up if you want his contact info. So
Cool.
thanks for
Thank you,
joining
everybody.
again, everyone, and thanks for joining Roland. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate you,
having me,
Roland.
you guys. Really appreciate it. I hope, I would love to join you guys again.
Absolutely. We'll have you
Yo.
back sometime.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right. Cool. Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
y'all. Have
Have
a
a great
happy
weekend.
weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Peace.
Shouts out.